6 o'clock.
6 o'clock? Are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, I have your attention. It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I so move.
Is that a motion?
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a public comment time here. We're gonna have a public hearing, which will give everybody an opportunity to speak about the wind settlement. If you have a public comment about something else, you could do that right now. And any and all public comments tonight, I'd like, as normal, to be respectful, no cursing. If you do that, you'd be asked to sit down. Be respectful of each other, be conscious of time. Please speak into the microphone and do it one at a time. So we can have everybody have a chance to speak and we can hear you. So is there any public comment concerning something other than the wind settlement before we go into the public hearing? If not, then we'll go into public hearing. As we go into there, before we go, we have the motion to go into public hearing. I put together a timeline and kind of a lot of confusion about this. So I want to go through a timeline, and we're going to go into our public hearing, maybe to clear up some confusion to help with our public hearing. Some questions that might even be asked. So I put a timeline together here for the last couple of years leading up to this. So here's what I have for a timeline. In an effort to try to curb some confusion before we start, I prepared a quick timeline of events in Page County that led us to the place we are in tonight. Page County had a unique rural zoning that had been put into place in 2008. Although it wasn't the goal of the zoning, it greatly inhibited development of industrial wind because of the process that would be required to obtain variances and permits for each potential turbine. Regardless of how many times the previous Board of Supervisors were told the original 2019 ordinance was to protect you, that is not true. Commercial wind development would have been extremely difficult under the 2008 zoning ordinance. And the 2019 wind ordinance was written very friendly to the wind companies to accommodate a large-scale wind project in Page County. October 29th of 2019, Chuck Morris, Alan Armstrong, and John Herzberg quickly passed a wind ordinance, ignoring all concerns raised in hearings. This ordinance included a line in this ordinance they passed: if there are any material changes to the information provided as part of the application in Section 3 that occur from this time of the application until the construction of the wind project, that applicant shall submit a new application along with an application fee for wind turbine with changed information, together with the updated information for each wind turbine. And any such change shall be in compliance with this ordinance. So that happened in 2019. March 7th, 2022. Invenergy submits Shenandoah Hills application along with an application fee for 31 wind turbines in Page County, $7,750, $250 per turbine, 31 turbines. March 29th of 2022, a moratorium was passed to halt any future applications until weaknesses in the 2019 ordinance could be addressed. This moratorium continued to be extended until the current wind ordinance was put into place. June 30th, 2022 through August 2nd, hearings and approval of the application submitted in March for 31 turbines. During these meetings, it was addressed that updated maps since the application was turned in show the deletion of 3 of the 31 turbines. The line from the ordinance about material change came up. JD, a zoning administrator, stated that he considered 10% change to be a material change requiring a new application. As of the approval of the application, it was 9.67 change, so it was not 10% yet. January 5th, 2023, Family Stations Incorporated notified attorney Carl Thompson that Invenergy had made a deal with them to remove 3 turbines affecting their radio towers. February 3rd, 2023, zoning administrator J.D. King sends a letter to Invenergy letting them know that the total reduction of 6 turbines does constitute a material change for the project and the approved application, and it would require resubmitting the application. They should have to redo it. February 14th, 2023, Invenergy submits an appeal to the Board of Adjustment to override J.D.'s letter voiding the application. March 3rd of 2023, they had that hearing with the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment upheld the zoning administrator avoiding the application being due to material change of more than 10% to the application. So the Board of Adjustment upheld J.D.'s decision. March 5th, 2023, Invenergy sues the county and each member of the Board of Adjustment, J.D. King, each member of the Board of Supervisors individually in their official capacity. January 11th, 2024, our current wind ordinance was passed. March 18th, 2024, Invenergy's suit is dismissed by a federal judge. They were given 14 days to amend. April 1st, 2024, Invenergy files motion to amend and adds claims for monetary damages to the county. April 5th, 2024, Invenergy files a second case against challenging our new ordinance. From that point until now, there's been efforts to settle this case they've amended for monetary damages. That's what's been going on all summer. So as we go into public comment, that kind of gives you a timeline of what's happened. I want to make something very clear. I think it may curb some concerns. What we are talking about in this hearing, about this lawsuit, about this settlement, has no potential to grow in more or different turbine locations. Anything added in this or another project by this or another company is subject to the new 2024 ordinance. This is the very last of the leftover of what we are dealing with from Chuck and Alan and John's ordinance, and specifically Chuck and Alan's 2022 approval of the Shenandoah Hills application. There are no more that can be added, no more locations that can be moved. There are no different models they can use. What we have here is the maximum of 23 turbines, up to 23 turbines, in 23 specifically mapped locations. So if you're worried about this expanding, that isn't the time really for comments here. It's not about expanding. They would fall under our new 2024 ordinance. Tonight is simply about settling whether or not this project from the past can be decided here outside of court, or if they need to continue forward to court to see whether or not they need a new application under our current ordinance. That's what this is about. I don't know if that makes sense. That's a timeline, how we got here. This is about this settlement, which I think there's copies back there. So on that, I need a motion to go into a public hearing.
Make a motion that we go into public hearing.
I second. Okay, I've got a motion and a second. On the roll call then.
Maker,
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Okay, now we're in a public hearing. So be respectful of each other and of time. We open the floor up one at a time to the microphone. Please state your name and if you have a comment. The floor is open.
I guess I'll go first. I'm a guest in the truest sense. I'm John Davis. I do not live in Page County. I live in Blanchard on the other side of the street. I spent most of my professional career in Page County serving the schools. I am now the president of Tarkio Tech. We have a wind program, so I do have some interest in this. But what I want to do tonight is I simply want to share 3 areas where we have seen the wind companies contribute greatly to Atchison County. Number one, they have been a great economic resource. The tax revenues obviously have added to our economy. The increased employment opportunities, they have provided jobs that keep young people in our community, one of our major goals. 100% of the techs in the Vestas shop at Tarkio grew up within 40 miles of Tarkio. These workers buy houses, purchase products, and put their children in our schools. During the construction phase, there is an infusion of workers who will be filling motels, eating at restaurants, buying groceries and gas, and spending money in your stores. Future maintenance projects will repeat this boost in the local economy. They have been an excellent education partner. They have provided instructors for our wind tech classes. They have made regular contributions to the operations of the college. They provide annual scholarships for our students. One company provides 2 $5,000 scholarships for a program that costs $6,800. Those students pay $1,800 for their education. They provide training equipment for our program, including a brand new nacelle, the building at the top of the tower, so that our students can train in the actual facility in which they will work. This was valued at over $2 million. They contribute as community contributors. We have found that the companies we work with are concerned about the community as much as they are about our training programs. They have made significant donations to our hospitals, the fire department, the rodeo board, the parks board, the Little League, the schools, the Rotary, the county road department, and the booster clubs. They provide lunch each year for our high school career fair. During cleanup days, they provide teams of wind techs to do volunteer labor, and they're good workers. During the construction phase, they poured new sidewalks on the campus at no cost to us. They encourage all of their employees to become involved in the community that they live in. In summary, although they are an international company, or the ones that we work are, we have found that the wind companies we work with are highly committed to community development. And I believe that they have this commitment because their employees have their roots in our communities. You should demand the same in Page County.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm Crystal Worrell. I'm a rural resident of Page County. Thank you for allowing us to have this public comment. Since about a year ago, I've been recovering from an acute medical collapse but this has been something I can't sit out from at this time. I read in the settlement Invenergy wishes to have 23 approved wind turbine locations, maybe less. Please correct me if I'm wrong on the following. What they failed once more to do is to ensure none of the towers conflict with an existing utility. According to the plat maps I was able to find on the Iowa DOT website and the Iowa Board of Utilities, I can see where 4, possibly 7 of their turbines mapped out are on or in very close proximity to our long-time existing hazardous material pipeline operated by Buckeye Partners. Yes, we already have a hazardous material pipeline in our county. That's a different topic entirely that I would love to address, but at a later time. I was able to trace by section numbers in the map of this pipeline to find where the conflicts occur. Morton Township, sections 18, 19, 20, 29, 33 for towers number 12, 14, and 15. Washington Township, sections 11 and 14 for towers 51, 52, 53. And section 24 of Washington Township for tower 63. I have my scribbles here. I'm willing to let you look at them and correct me if I'm wrong on my placements. If that is correct, my math says that that's already a 20 to 30% material change if they were to delete just those towers from this new map provided. I believe this issue with the pipeline and a radio station were the deciding factor in Mr. King's original decision to void Invenergy's application due to the material change that would be needed to move or remove the towers. The County Board of Adjustments agreed. Then a federal court dismissed Invenergy's suit against Page County on the grounds that they failed to state a claim. Now with this newly amended, if you will, map of turbine placements, there are still issues. From my understanding, Invenergy is now appealing and throwing a big money threat to bankrupt our county into submission over this project. They state they have spent a lot of money in pursuit of this project coming to service, and now without it, they are out that money. I ask all who are willing to answer and respectfully, raise your hand if you have ever lost money on an investment. Raise your hand if you have ever been upside down on something you have put a lot of time and effort into for it to not fully fruit as you anticipated. Thank you. If I was to go buy a new car I couldn't afford, financed it, started driving it before I had insurance on it and wrecked, I wouldn't be able to go back to the dealership and demand repayment of my debt due to something that was my own fault. It is a common fact in the business world that you win some and you lose some. In this case, Invenergy was overly confident in their money-backed reputation and underestimated the common people in our county. We found their flaws. We brought it to your attention. We have a stake in this because we live here. Now, I have said before, I want to make it very clear that I believe that if an industry wants to enter into a business agreement with our county and can do it within our ordinances and by performing their due diligence and not bullying their way in, then by all means, they should be able to do that. Unfortunately for Invenergy, we now have confirmed 3 times that they failed to provide a valid application. There are already flaws in the settlement map. I don't see how our county can even consider a settlement agreement when we have nothing to settle. It's been decided. And Invenergy with the Shenandoah Hills project are just upset that they lost this one. A small county in rural America did the work to double check their work. Are we truly wanting to make an agreement with a bullying multi-billion-dollar company on the backs of our poverty line citizens? Do you think the amount of money they invested in the preparations of this project really hurts their bottom line? Are we rushing into a settlement because one of our participating supervisors is on their way out of their chair? And at the start of 2025, a new federal government control is going to throw a wrench in the wind industry's ambitions. I want to support revenue into this county. This is my home. This isn't easy money made. Having this particular wind project isn't going to fix all of our problems. I urge my county supervisors to hold the line. We are confident and support Mr. King's and the supervisor's original decision to void the application due to the definition of material change and by the lack of Invenergy's due diligence, as did the Board of Adjustments and a federal court who quickly dismissed their suit. Thank you.
Okay, now it's gonna comment.
Hello, my name is Mandy Whipple. My husband and I farm in Fremont and Page counties in Iowa, as well as in Atchison County, Missouri. We also run a couple small businesses where we see firsthand how important it is for a community to thrive, not just survive. I'm here to speak in support of the Shenandoah Hills Wind Energy Project, a project that can bring incredible benefits to our community. This is an opportunity that we cannot afford to ignore. When I first heard about this project, I was skeptical. I live near the state line. With turbines already south of me, I wanted to understand the impact that these turbines would have. I decided to do my homework and talk to the people in Atchison County where these turbines are already part of their landscape. I spoke to residents who live near them, landowners who host them, and local officials who manage the county's finances. What I learned reassured me and changed my perspective. The people I spoke with weren't upset about the turbines. They barely noticed them. Heck, I even barely noticed them. Even those who lived right next door. Many said they like what the turbines brought to their community. Schools in Atchison County have seen massive benefits. Tarkio schools were able to purchase and renovate the Tarkio Activity Center with a $4 million project and recently completed a $10 million renovation to their school without raising taxes. Westboro Fire Department now has better equipment to respond to emergencies, keeping their community much safer. County commissioners told me the turbines have been good for their county, and I believe that we can have the same opportunity here. Why does this matter to Page and Fremont counties? Because we are in desperate need of economic growth. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median income in Page County is $58,264. After taxes, utilities, food, health insurance, housing, and other expenses, that does not leave much for families to get ahead. People in our community are tired of being taxed and nickel and dimed, especially when projects like this one can permit those taxes from increasing in the first place. Shenandoah Community Schools just raised their tax levy, something that likely wouldn't have been necessary with the revenue that this project could provide. This project will bring more than $234 million in local tax revenue, land costs, and lease payments. The money paid to landowners turn over in a rural community 6 times, boosting local businesses like grocery stores, hardware stores, and service providers. My neighbors on the state line, we like to keep our money local. And I believe this project will help strengthen the local economy for everyone, not just the landowners, but every resident who benefits from a growing, thriving community. In addition to financial benefits, the Shenandoah Hills project will create up to 10 full-time jobs. jobs that we desperately need in this area. These are stable, good-paying positions that will provide income for families and contribute to our tax base. During the construction phase, over 200 temporary jobs will be created, bringing workers who will shop in our stores, stay in the hotels, and support our restaurants. This economic ripple effect will be felt by every single business in Page and Fremont counties. Unfortunately, instead of embracing this opportunity, it was chosen to pull the project permit after it had already been approved. The application had stated originally that some turbines might not be built. So to me, at the time, this action seemed a bit personal, not a decision made in the best interest of the county. The result, costly litigation that has drained the county resources and set the county back financially. My understanding is now that attorneys are advising settling this case would be in the county's best interest, and I have to agree. Continuing this fight only harms the community further and opens up the county to even more lawsuits. There's now legal precedent supporting landowners' claims, and some are already discussing filing lawsuits over the losses that they've incurred of their permit being pulled. By not moving forward with this project, the county risks exposing itself to more legal and financial liabilities, not just from landowners, but from other organizations that have lost money due to these poor decisions. The supervisor's duty is to act in the best interest of their constituents and to be fiscally responsible. It's time to uphold that duty. As a taxpayer in both Iowa and Missouri, I can see the stark difference between the two. Missouri's financial outlook is brighter, and has a significant part of that is due to the revenue generated by the wind turbines. We have the same chance to bring that kind of growth here, but if we don't act, we risk falling further behind, making it even harder to attract people and businesses to our counties. A thriving community is what draws people in, not one bogged down by stagnation and legal battles. The Shenandoah Hills Wind Energy Project isn't just about turbines or landowners. It's about the future of our community. It's about creating jobs, improving our schools, and providing better resources for everyone. It's about ensuring that our counties are places people want to live, work, and raise families. So I ask you, what kind of future do you want for our county? Do you want to continue down a path of missed opportunities and financial losses, or do we want to embrace growth and progress? Do we want to support a project that can bring millions of dollars to our schools, roads, and emergency services, which I believe was just voted down? Or do we want to let this chance slip away? The time to act is now. It's time to do the right thing for the communities, for the families, and for the generations to come. I ask that you approve the Shenandoah Hills Wind Energy Project and help build the future that we all deserve.
Thank you. I don't, brought up tax revenue, and, you know, we have a state senator back there. He could speak to this a little bit. I don't care for the way it is in Iowa. I don't know what happens in Missouri, but in Iowa, it's a pretty big ripoff on wind. We don't get much money. The building, just so everybody knows in the room, the building down here that used to be Orscheln's, right behind that building is a wind building. They call it wind building, Mid-America does. They get a special deal on taxes in Iowa, just so we know what money's gonna be generated, which this isn't really what the settlement's even about. It's not a lawsuit, but just so you know, they pay the first year they get their wind turbines going. You know how much money they pay? $0. Every industrial taxed property pays 90% times the levy times the valuation. Wind will pay 0. The second year, they will pay 5%. Every other business will pay 90%. At 7 years, it gets to 30, and that's it. So for an example, for those two buildings, they were valued about the same. I did this a couple years ago. TSC, I guess now, I don't know what it is now, but a couple years ago was paying $40-some thousand a year in property taxes, plus sales tax and everything else. The wind building right behind it paid $0. Then the most they will ever pay 7 years later is $14,000. There's a lot of farmers paying more taxes on that several $1 million building. So there is, I don't know what Missouri is. I don't know that. But I know in Iowa, as far as the revenue, and a third of that would go to the county, roughly. So there is a confusion there on some of this issue. The amount of money generated in Iowa is almost, unless you have a lot of them, very, very small, just to show the numbers. We had a substation of the year I checked, I think we got $300 off the substation. It's probably a few thousand now. At the one that's down here on this other side of the county, down by Taylor County. So I'm just saying, and I don't know what the Missouri situation is, but that is the rule in Iowa. They get a big break on taxes. Many farmers would pay more taxes than they're paying on things. Most any business owner. TSC is paying a lot more taxes than Mid-America Energy is, with the building the same value. So that's just tax information. So welcome to look that up. Anybody else have a public comment?
Whoops.
Nope.
Kane Stimson, Page County resident. I feel like the people of the county, I mean, you can talk about economic growth all you want, but the people of the county that have voted, they voted their desire on a wind turbine factory in Page County, and it's been no. Jacob and Todd's elections were the indicator. They want to protect the rights of the majority of the Page County citizens, not just a chosen few landowners. Most, I don't know how many of these turbines are on absentee landowner land, but they don't really count to me because they don't have to live here and live with the turbines. I don't know, as far as other people that voted for Judy, if they thought that she was supporting the citizens that are concerned with the negatives of wind turbines, but I'm not sure that's really true. For the effort that Jacob and Todd have put in, they've been vilified, slandered, told lies about to get people to turn on him. From a never-ending circle of gossip, from the coffee shops to the radio stations to the newspapers. I want to thank Todd and Jacob for continuing to stick their necks out for the citizens of this county. They're examples of the sacrifices that have to be made when you make an effort to drain the swamp. As far as the settlement agreement, I've read through it, and I think a big thing, Crystal really covered a lot of this really well. The vested rights is their big thing now. Invenergy's latest lawsuit is about the vested rights and how much money they've put into it. And I'm just like Crystal, I say plenty of entrepreneurs and corporations seek to start up businesses with possible risk of it not being successful. It's a risk you take in business. And many businesses, how many businesses do you think get to take that risk with a whole bunch of taxpayer money subsidized? The main thing about what's going on here is the idea of their shoddy application. I hope somebody can get up and give the examples of all the times that their business, they've kind of got an operating procedure that gets the cart at the head of the horse. And on this instance, they did a lot of work really shoddily. And that's actually why we're here today. Because of their shoddy workmanship that resulted in the material change. And it still seems to go on. I don't want people to blame Page County for the money that's being spent on this with lawyers, etc. Blame Invenergy for suing us. That's why we're having to spend this money, because a multi-billion-dollar crony capitalistic organization is suing a little tiny county in the middle of nowhere that is the center of my world. A couple of other things are the ADLS, that it kind of bothered me that there's a thing in there that says if applications are denied by federal, state, county, then SHW will be deemed to have fulfilled their obligation. So they make the promise that they'll do this ADLS, which would be wonderful if you had to have wind turbines, but they've got these outs of, it might not be approved federally, state, county, and I bet they have have their arms in some of those approvals. It would make sense. A crony capitalistic organization would be able to make influence. And of course, we live in Iowa, who thinks the whole world of wind, and all the government people think the whole world of wind and solar, and it's all about money. I just would say that this company that's shoddy in their application, there are numerous articles on the internet about them not following through with promises. And you can look them up. There's getting to be more every day, month. If they can use you, you're their friend. If they don't need you anymore, watch out. They probably won't be helping you out with your problems. This decommissioning thing, you know, I'm not sure what it looks like now, but they said that they had these permits and stuff that were agreed on, and those permits were never approved. They've said several times they were approved and they were not. I just feel like Invenergy doesn't want to take the responsibility for their problems. And they'll love to blame JD or the new supervisors or anybody but themselves. And this settlement, really, they don't take any blame. They want to, what was it, 2B? They want in this thing to rescind that letter purporting the approval. And in other words, our supervisors are now to vote to say what the letter JD sent was not true. That's what it looks like to me. And they want us to go back. They want these people to go back on what was the truth and claim that it wasn't the truth. And I hope somebody else gets up with all the messy, shoddy things that happened with the company. And is that the kind of company you want to work with in your county?
T.L. Van Suyok, Fremont County.
I'm sorry, what?
T.L. Van Suyok. Has anyone done an analysis of the difference in projected county revenue from reduction from 31 to 23? Did anyone ever do budgetary projection before August of 2022? Has anyone done a revised projection given this proposal? How is Page County protected from the cost and expense being incurred by Jasper County because they did not have the proper financial security for the decommissioning and disposal of used blades? Mid-American operated those turbines and then refused responsibility for the cleanup. In section 4H of the proposed agreement, what does the term runs with the project mean? I've heard runs with the land, easements, that sort of thing, but I've never heard runs with the project. What's that even mean? When were the residential maps for applying the new setbacks limitations updated? In Fremont County, they've missed 92 homes that don't exist, that are not on the map anywhere. My home is one of them. I think I should be included. Who, when, where, and how were the road use decommissioning agreements negotiated? Are we all bound by negotiations of Armstrong and Morris between Thanksgiving and New Year's after they'd already lost the election? Why is the ghost of Armstrong and who we voted out haunting us still? Why are the road decommissioning agreements not part of the public disclosure? The settlement agreement commits to signing agreements that have never been presented to the public back in 2022 or now. Have you and the county's outside counsel reviewed the letter written by Sean Shear and Mr. Updegraff last week? How do you respond to what he says? Is the Worth County decision causing the concern? Why is Worth County applicable to us? Our zoning ordinance does not permit commercial wind, but Worth County's did. Doesn't that make a difference? What work has been done to confirm the factual accuracy and statements made in the reticles section of the proposed settlement agreement? Does the county want to admit to facts upon which it has not done confirmation? What is the status of SHW's permitting for the feds and state? Are there effective FAA authorizations, DNR permits? What was the purpose of requiring submission of studies with the application? It seems performing these studies gets them vested rights to do what the studies are designed to provide us information on whether or not they should be allowed to do it in the first place. This seems flipped about. Doing a study to justify your plans vests you with the right to do your own plan. There was a fire in the generator of a turbine in Williamsburg back in October of 2022. Luckily, the crops were out of the field. Local and fire emergency did not have the equipment to put it out. No ladders tall enough. What are your emergency plans if something happens here? Do you have ladders or equipment to get up to 400 feet? What are the plans if there is a pre-harvest fire? Now that we know of these past events, why does SHW get into live in a pre-COVID world forever? Are you saying that the county's COVID relations restrictions were unlawful because of businesses had a vested right to continue under the pre-COVID law? The agreement says that the deal for SHW, they live forever by the old law. It did not work that way for the rest of us. Why is the penalty for violating the agreement a few $100s? Shouldn't the penalty for SHW violating the agreement or operating outside of the terms of their application or road use and decommissioning agreements be that the entire project must be shut down until compliance? How long does SHW have to begin construction? Does their plan approval mean that they can wait forever and decide to build? If they're going to do it, why isn't there a provision in that agreement that requires them to do construction now? My guess, they're not ready. So why are you caving in now? In Jasper County, decommissioning agreements is a substantial financial commitment for the county. We all know that SHW is planning to sell the project to Mid-American. In Jasper County, there are thousands of old wind turbines on the ground. Mid-American has disclaimed any responsibility for them. The state attorney general has been forced to file suit. What protection is being provided against that event? The recitations in the proposed settlement agreements regarding vested rights and concessions of property rights to a non-landowner in perpetuity will haunt the county forever. The cost benefit analysis is not clear. The county has spent money litigating and the settlement is 8 less turbines, a few hundred feet of setbacks, a Fox commitment to aircraft detection lighting, and non-participants being provided Invenergy's standard to form good neighbor agreement. The board needs to explain the cost benefit analysis of the members have undertaken. The deliberation should be before the public. Why is this agreement better than continuing to insist that SHW material modify their plan justifying revocation? It is clear that the proposal in the settlement is even more of a material change than before. Why does SHW keep getting their way by threats? Considering SHW's vested rights argument, SHW's demand to have settlement agreement done immediately, SHW's demand to be governed by the old wind ordinance, and SHW's reduction of turbines from 31 to 23, a material change. Why is this the right agreement? Why is SHW willing to settle for 23? Originally, it was supposed to, they couldn't do it without 2 counties. Fremont County is still being held up. Why is it that in this agreement, that is to SHW's benefit, that they're willing to give up their claim about monetary damages? That is the troubling point. There is something in this agreement that SHW wants, and it is not money. It's control of the county. It's an exemption from complying with the law. It is the ability to create a Jasper County without consequence. It is the right to sell, the right to the project. Isn't it the proper answer to settle with them by agreeing that they can reapply with their new 23 turbine plan with the agreement that the old ordinance will apply? That solves the question on whether or not material change happened and the question of which ordinance applied. Seems like splitting the baby. SHW gets the old ordinance and the county gets a reapplication with new information. The requirements of the wind ordinance to submit studies was to give to the board current information. The board was deemed important and that required to be provided. The board's decision based on the then somewhat current information was based on data collected during COVID 2020 and 2021. The studies in the application are old. Noise study issued March 2022, data is older than that. The noise data was at least 3 years old. Microwave communication dated December 7th, 2021. The data collected earlier and more than 3 years old. Communications have changed since. Radio report data is more than 3 years old. Microwave study, more than 3 years old. Communication tower study, 3+ years. Health study, February 2022, cited in a study from 2017, gathering information from years before in such places as Australia and Denmark and Sweden. Any updates? How about any studies from the US not sponsored by Wind Interest? Thank you.
Anybody else?
Kim Tudor, Page County. A lot of what I had notes to share tonight has already been said, but the main question is what makes this agreement a good compromise? After reading through it several times, I'm still seeing that it's very vague, such as road use and decommissioning. They're not attached to this because nothing's been agreed and presented in a public hearing yet. There was never an old decommissioning and road use agreement presented in a public hearing. Other terms that make me uneasy, they state the final number may be less than 23 locations. Well, if that's the case, then let's go to the less number right out of the gate. If it can be less, let's adjust it and be accurate. And another one, what is micro sitting and major and minor shifts in placing? What I consider minor is probably not what someone else does. When you're cooking and you say a smidgen of that, it's never the same from one person to the other. So once again, vague, open-ended, not zeroed in. The noise levels. This agreement states Invenergy or Shenandoah Hills Wind has 30 days to investigate and fix the problem. My concern here is it's only addressing it for non-participant residents. What happens if somebody has signed up and they have a turbine on their land and it's making a lot more noise than it should? So those people don't have rights under this. The other concern is, do you really think they're going to investigate these complaints when the fee per Iowa code is $750 to $1,000? It's going to cost more than that to come out and investigate it. These are just some of the examples that I think are very vague on this and concern me, along with what the other gentleman said about where's the timeline? Is this just asking for signatures for open-ended and this project could start next year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Everything's just very indefinite, and to me, that's unsettling.
Good evening, Sherry Hunter, down by Blanchard. I have questions that I would like answered. Does that take from my time? Or are questions for later? Because I just have a few questions like that. Maybe Invenergy could maybe answer. The first thing I want to ask is, are you guys allowed to be completely transparent with us tonight? There's nothing that you've been told to withhold or not disclose.
No.
Okay,
I think
so,
we can.
but all of the settlement was done closed session, right?
Yeah,
And the reason for that is since we're a board and we cannot talk outside of the boardroom, if we're trying to discuss strategy in a legal case, they can watch everything we say. So we don't have any strategy. They can go back to Chicago and talk about every kind of scheme they could come up with, and we don't know what they're doing, that's fine, but it's so we can talk about strategy with our attorney.
But you can understand how residents would be concerned.
Yeah, that's just the way.
And so we actually received a lot of our information from neighbors that are signed up, that are, so they were contacted and kind of let know what was, that things were gearing up and a settlement was coming and this and that. So I just think it was interesting that Invenergy didn't feel like they had to be private about anything, but I felt like as a county, we had to be. And I understand that's for protection, but it was just a concern of mine. So March 5th, 2023, the suit that was filed, I thought it was dropped. Has it been appealed? Is that where it's at now? Or dismissed? I thought it was dismissed.
Well, they refiled it, that's what I read in that timeline, they refiled it in April, I think.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It got dismissed and they amended it and then refiled it.
And the other lawsuit is just the validity of our
Ordinance.
ordinance. Was
think so.
our ordinance prepared by a lawyer,
Our county
knows.
attorney went over it.
but they know the law, right?
Well,
So why wouldn't it be valid?
they're just, anybody can sue for anything. So anybody can say
Okay, well, that
so.
was, I'm just wondering what is the reason for settling? Is my question. So
Right.
the next thing is in here, it uses the word promises. That seems so strange. Especially coming from somebody that has lied personally about me. I'm very personal about it because they stood up here and lied about my family, and we received signatures of over, I think it was 36 people that we went just in like 3 townships that had never been spoke to, even though they were within the footprint. But they said that they had approached everybody. They lied on record, and I do have a copy of that. So what good are promises from a liar? And I'm not discrediting Invenergy. They might be a great company for other people that have worked for them. I'm saying the job that was done in Page County was full of lies and promises that weren't kept. So my other question was, our new ordinance is a mile from the property line, correct?
Yep.
And the old ordinance was 1,500 feet. They gave up 300 feet. Is that the compromise?
That's one of them.
300 feet, not from the property line, but 300
the-
feet
right.
from, so it can be pretty close to somebody. What is the, from the property line? What is the allowance? Is that 1,000 feet?
It would be, I think, in the old ordinance,
So everything's
3 times.
from
I
the
can't
old
remember what it
ordinance.
was. That's
is
what they're
first.
going for.
Okay,
1.1, that's right, it's not. And so they changed this. The reason we're sitting here with a settlement is because people want to invite Invenergy to their county. They're not a friendly bunch. Said, they broke the rules, they didn't want to follow the new rules, so they're threatening to sue us into oblivion. So that's what this is.
well,
This is like letting
Invenergy
the-
is, we do
Yeah.
understand that it's lawyers and investors. That's
Yes.
what Invenergy
So
is.
anyway, it's like letting the mafia that come into your home. As long as you're getting along, it's okay. When you don't get along, it's not so fun. That's kind of where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, and then
In
I
my
had
opinion.
concerns about the noise. Because in Taylor County, where Invenergy built those turbines, we do have friends that were non-participants and they had a squeak. Now, they were able to correct it, I think, within a week. But like vomiting sick because of this eek, 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 like screech. And they have videos and I can share those with you, but a week of listening to that on your own property is a long time. And then, My biggest concern because of my son's issues, our son's issues are the obstruction lighting systems. That's so confusing, that section. So that is something I would like them to speak about. What is the permit process? Are they allowed to share that or? Because it sounds like in the settlement, they're gonna try, but if they don't get it, and then if they do, then it might be 90 days operational before they get it. And I kind of did some research on like what that actually is, like for those of you that don't maybe know, it's surveillance radar, antenna, and light control server are the additional things, I think. So, and then my other question, if Invenergy could answer, was if and when they do Fremont County, will they be considering that as well?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Fremont County, we don't know what they do over there, so.
Yeah, but it's still my west. Like we can see turbines that are south of Maryville from our right. So that's our only view without flashing lights. Okay, and then, did Invenergy want to mention anything, talk about or answer any of that, like the permit process? Do you mind? Like, can they share now or is there time where they're gonna share?
I can.
Like what your permit process is?
What's the ADLS process?
Yeah, I was thinking I'd come up in a little bit and address that.
Okay.
Once you get some more.
Thank you for that. Then, about the vested right, that was kind of covered. The map, the new map on there is really hard to read. Like, it's really kind of blurry. I don't know if you guys noticed the old maps were not so, but it doesn't show the boundary of the footprint. That's something that's different. I don't know if the footprint has changed or it's the same old footprint, just that's a zoomed up copy of the map. I wasn't sure if you guys knew that. And then I also was very concerned about the decommissioning agreement. Which one is that? What is the date? And I feel like that should be on the settlement. Like what date of which settlement? Was that one? Because one place I read it almost sounded like it was some agreement in the first ordinance. But I'm not sure if it was an agreement that you guys worked out or if it was an agreement that was, so a date would be great on that section. And then I just wanted to mention I don't know when Atchison County, there by Rockport, does anyone know when they got their first turbines?
Not sure.
I just know that their population has dived. Like dived from in the 2000s. So sometimes you have to ask yourself, do you want people in your county or money? Like, since I'm a person, you know, you can say, was the railroad wrong to run people out of their land for progress? Was the white man or the Englishman wrong to run the Native Americans out? Moving is fine. It's just getting to the point where it's like, where do you move where you're safe? Especially when you look at Atchison County. I mean, let's be honest. It's like all you see. I drive to Hamburg when I go to work. So it's like, wow, that's a lot of turbines. I don't even know how many they have, but it's a lot. And Nottoway County has a lot now too. So we were told that we were the bread and butter because Iowa has tax incentives that really help. So we were told several times that Iowa is the bread and butter for Invenergy. They provide them with a lot of lucrative business. We were lied to about how they approached people. They have several turbines, like she had mentioned on the gas line. They had promised to hire local contractors and provide local jobs, but they hired a person. It was an Iowa company, but it was their friendly company. They did not accept any of the bids of the local contractors to do the substation by Northborough. And when I questioned the Invenergy employee, he said it comes down to money. whatever will save them. So they'll promise you things, but whatever saves them money, they'll do. That was Mark Crowell. Digging up county roads 1 week after we put fresh gravel on them. 1 week. And nobody ever got restitution for that mistake. They didn't know about the radio station, that it was infringing on their rights to the airspace. Townships were in the wrong counties. Like, let's just be honest, a 7th grader knows how to write a map, even if you've never been there. Mismarked roads, our county engineer had to correct the roads on their map. False signature on easements, requiring striking a turbine, omitting homes, residential, like Tandon's house. And there's more than one house that's omitted. And then allowing a salesperson to notarize contracts with people signing other people's names without permission. And that person's really upset about that. So here's what I'm saying. When projects, love them, hate them, fair, not fair, whatever, but it's the quality of work. And if I sent my kid to college and he partied, he lied, he skipped class, and he turned in a project with townships in the wrong counties and this and that, well, he's gonna fail. Can I sue Northwest Missouri State, or Northwest State, whatever, the university, can I sue them and get my money back? Or is it his fault? Now, Invenergy might be a fine company. I don't know. I just know who we've had here has lied, cheated, buried our gravel, didn't fix roads. I mean, this is a long, other projects even, and they haven't paid taxes. And my other question that I would love for Invenergy to answer is, when do they plan to sell this to Mid-America Energy? And will this settlement uphold there? Or is it going to be all new contracts? So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I just wanted to say thank you guys for all your work. I know it's not easy being up there.
Okay, anybody else?
Peggy Smith, Page County. The definition of progress is moving forward towards a destination. Nowhere in that definition does it say that progress is perfect. This country was built on hydroelectric dams and nuclear power and railroads and airports. None of us would want to do without those things, but they're not perfect and they're not pleasant to live by. We've been dealing with this situation for much longer than we should have had to deal with it. We need to make decisions and move forward. And I ask this board to vote for this agreement so that we can salvage at least some of the property tax dollars that would be coming to Page County that would be so beneficial for our schools and our roads and our police and fire protection. That's all I've got to say.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
I would like to share some. This can pivot. Because I'd like to address the people as well as you guys. Number one, Jacob.
Could you state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Jeff Shear, Fremont County. I live on the Goldenrod. If you don't know what that is, that's a road from Hamburg to Highway 59, a mile from the Missouri line, just over a mile from your windmill farm. I want to start out, Jacob defeated a pro-wind candidate. Todd beat a pro-wind incumbent. I recently defeated a pro-wind incumbent in Fremont County. I knocked a lot of doors, I made a lot of phone calls, and maybe I talked to hundreds of people since I was not the incumbent and I had to work harder. I maybe talked to 5 people that would express opposition to what I was saying about the windmills and the windmill ordinance. That's the biggest battle, is the ordinance. Maybe 5 people wanted the windmills. Almost everybody is opposed to having these things in our county altogether. I had a large number of people that reached out to get a hold of me, and the first thing they asked, and the only thing they asked, was, are you pro-wind or are you against turbines? And I said, I'm against the ordinance that we have. I want to tell you a story, it's a true story, about the Atchison County Wind Farm. When they were bringing the turbines in, they came from the east, they were going west on that paved road going to Hamburg. They had to turn south to go to Missouri, 2 miles from my house. It was a brand new trailer, but it was a defect. There was a crack in it, or the weld cracked. One of the generators fell off the trailer, landed in the highway in the corner of that gravel road. They had to get this thing up. What do these things weigh? Can you tell me? 50 ton? Roughly? Oh, they're more, 50, 60, 70 ton. That's what they weigh. It's a major project to get these things off the ground back on a trailer. I am close friends with the guy that they hired to get that lifted up and back on a trailer. Now, your generators were made in Spain. They're called Iberdrola. And Iberdrola was responsible for this turbine, this generator, until it gets to the field where it gets put up on the pole. And then they're free from liability. It's in the middle of the highway. It's Iberdrola's problem. They flew a VIP from Spain to oversee the project of getting this up. My friend who lifted the generator up and got it on the trailer, he had to work closely with this guy from Spain, and they got to be pretty good friends. And this guy from Spain said, these things wear out before they make $1 of profit. Now, if you talk about, I'm glad you got up and talked about all the money and all the great things that they do. I mean, that's just wonderful. But let me ask you, if these things don't make a profit, is that money coming from the power company? Where's the money coming from? That money is coming from you and me. All this money that we're spending and we're going to give to the schools is just tax dollars that they're taking from somebody else. Warren Buffett owns more of these things than anybody in the state. And Warren Buffett says, quote, these things do not work without tax subsidies or credits. And he collected $6.2 billion from 2019 to 2023 from the IRS. That's your money, that's mine, because the government doesn't make any money. They don't even print it. Somebody else does that. Now, I live on that goldenrod, on the highway. I don't live on it. I'm on the north side. When the wind's out of the south, I can hear those generators over a mile away from my house. It's not so annoying that I can't live with it, but I hear it and it doesn't go away until they stop. 3 times I've worked out in the yard and I could hear the blades, and we're talking a mile away, just over a mile. On October 28th, I was in my upstairs bedroom, south end of the house, and I heard a noise and I thought something in the house is running. There wasn't anything running in the house, anything in the house running. I went outside and then I realized in the house, I could hear that generator and my windows were closed. This is a mile away. Ask yourself, what's this gonna be like? 1,600 feet from your bedroom window, not from the property line, but from your bedroom window. That's what's wrong with the ordinance. That's our ordinance. I think theirs is 1,500, I'm not sure. Invenergy has caused this whole thing. If they would have come out in the first place and said, we're gonna have a mile setback, or if they would have at least agreed to change the ordinance to where they could be a mile away, we wouldn't be here tonight. I probably wouldn't have run for the election, but somebody had to come to fight for these people who are in the present project area, because some of you, I got a good friend that's lived in a house for 60 years. When he was born, that's the house he lived in. He grew up, went to school. He lived in that house. He got married. His parents moved into a smaller house and he lived in that house. It's the only house he's ever lived in, 60 years. And I've talked to him. He doesn't want these things 1,600 feet from his house. And he's already told me, if these things come in, we're probably gonna move. I've talked to a half a dozen people that have said the same thing. These things come in, we're gonna move. I've even got friends that have already put bids in for another home to move away because they don't want to live next to them, and I don't either. So that's the problem to me, is the ordinance. We fix the ordinance, I think this whole thing goes away. I don't really want them in my county, but now I've got to represent the whole county. I understand all these tax dollars are gonna come in, which is exactly what they are. They're not profit money. It's tax dollars coming from the government. Without that, Warren Buffett wouldn't own one of them, and he's quoted as saying that. So tonight, Invenergy has the opportunity to end this whole thing. All they have to do is agree to a mile and a quarter setback. And I want to leave you with one quote and one other statement from the World Health Organization. They recommend 1,900 meters, which comes to 1¼ miles setback for these wind turbines from people's homes. And the last one is from West Virginia. Quote, "The hills are alive with the sound of windmills. The project developer, David Groberg was his name. He said, the company will attempt to keep these giants a distance of 1 mile from any given residence. He said noise and strobe lighting effect would not be an issue at that distance. David Groberg was the project developer for that wind project in West Virginia, and it was done by Invenergy Wind. So if they're willing to put them a mile back there, why won't you put them a mile back from us here? You do that, it all goes away. So what I would like the Page County Board do is please don't settle yet. Let's keep fighting this thing. Let's work together. And I want you to know that at least you've got one ally now in January from the Fremont County Board of Supervisors that is going to do everything I can to change this ordinance. Thank you.
Good. Anybody else?
My name is Greg Connell. I'm a 5th generation resident of Shenandoah. Currently the executive vice president of the Shenandoah Chamber and Industry Association. I have served my community as a 2-term mayor, city councilman, and school board member. In all my years in public service, the one problematic thing that we face, and I'm sure that, and I know that you face it too, is balancing a budget. As costs continue to rise and revenues remain static, then there are really 3 options that you have. You can cut services for the people that voted for you, expecting you to expand or at least improve those services. You can raise taxes, which nobody wants, or you can work to improve valuation in your county so that you have more tax revenue. And I'm glad Jacob brought up the fact that there's a 70% rollback in the property tax for windmills. But what he didn't say, there's a 52% rollback for your residential property.
Sorry, this just got turned
Oh,
sideways.
okay. All right, thank you. And farm ag land is valued at much less than 50% as far as taxation is concerned. It's a whole different formula. So the state of Iowa provides a lot of incentives, let's face it. And I don't think anybody here wants to pay 100% on their property taxes for their home. And I don't think anybody here that's a farmer wants to pay 100% of the valuation of property tax for his 10,000 or 12,000 or 15,000 acre or dollar an acre farm. And I'd also like to just say for a second, Todd, you won the election, and Judy, you won the election because you were good candidates. And anybody that says that you're one-issue candidates is demeaning you, because again, I've known you since you were a little boy. I've known Judy my whole life. You were good candidates, and again, that's why you won. It wasn't because you wrote anybody's coattails. So again, getting back to the idea of how do you solve your budget problems, you have that opportunity, and there are very, very few rural counties that can solve it. You will continue to cut services, you will continue to raise property taxes again, unless you increase this valuation. And this is exactly what this project does. And so, you know, as you approach March, you know, you'll have to validate your budget by March 15th. You're gonna face the same problem. And are you gonna look at these people and say, hey, guess what? We're cutting X amount of dollars out of roads. We're gonna, you know, X amount of dollars out of everything that's important to this community because we just don't have the revenue to do it. And it is a revenue situation. I mean, it is absolutely 100% a revenue situation. And again, the valuation of this project, again, like Jacob says, you know, it's not near what it says when you look at the numbers, but it still means $600,000 for projects or for different parts of your budget, like rural basic, rural general, mental health, another $100,000 for debt service, divided amongst debt service, the assessor, extension. So you'll have to make those decisions, and this crowd won't be here to tell you, you know, that you're doing everything wrong as a result of these taxes that you're having to impose or the services you're gonna have to cut. So adding valuation is good government. So I encourage you to be a part of that good government and support this agreement that has been worked out over a number of months. And, you know, I wanted to be this a little bit short because some of this has gone a lot longer, but, you know, let's look at the realistic situation in the farm economy. And we are the ruralest of rural America, believe you me. So we are at a 15-year low as far as farm income is concerned. And I know there are people in here as old as me that remember the farm crisis. And so what I think we look at today is a situation where turbines on the farms that have signed contracts may very well save that farm. A banker's gonna look at them and say, guess what? You got $40,000, $60,000 worth of income. You can stay, the next person may not. We have a 2 billion bushel carryout in corn right now. Corn's hovering around $4. We're gonna add another $2.5 billion next year. Costs are not gonna come down. It costs almost $960 an acre to produce corn in this day's market. So to deny a farmer that has signed a contract the ability to maximize the revenue from his farm is a violation of that person's property rights. That's all I have to say.
Miles?
I'll be courteous and keep it under 5 minutes. My name is Shelley Warner, and I am a landowner in Page County and a resident. And I'm here to voice my support in favor for the agreement between Page County and Shenandoah Hills that will resolve important aspects of this wind project. Shenandoah Hills is a project is one of many all across the state that has enriched counties and enabled our power companies to reduce electric bills. My personal bill has gone down over the last 2 years from $178 a month on budget billing to $115. It is the only bill I have that has decreased. They've all gone up, including property taxes. So a county cannot tax their way to prosperity. It must rely on economic development. So this is the opportunity for Page County to bring in funds that could be used for major projects like building the new jail and more. And over the life of this project, Shenandoah Community School will benefit from millions of dollars that is important to our current students and future generations. In an age when it is difficult to pass a bond issue, this is going to be important income in the future. The project is also important to our landowners and the project area. Those folks on the farm or even absentee owners need that rent money to keep their land producing crops and leverage it to the fullest. And I believe that is their right to do so. Crop prices are falling, and this rent income from the wind turbines can only help. Throughout the path to this agreement, Invenergy has been an outstanding corporate citizen with multiple community sponsorships that have made many activities possible. Those include 2 major sponsorships of $5,000 in 2021 and 2022 for the Wabash Trace Nature Trail Marathon. In 2024, a ShanFest sponsorship of $1,000 and a $750 sponsorship for downtown Christmas events this year too. These dollars benefit thousands of Page County residents. Finally, the construction phase of the project will greatly benefit the local economy with workers that will be living in our county for at least 2 years, and then employees after too. But the construction crews will eat, sleep, and shop in Page County, and that will bring in more dollars. Invenergy also opened an office in downtown Shenandoah, and they have joined as a member of Shenandoah Chamber and Industry Association. This agreement marks the culmination of years of hard work and a long overdue victory for the Shenandoah community and Page County as a whole. After years of concessions by Invenergy, meeting all the requests of the county, I implore you as the Page County supervisors tasked with doing what's best for the county and for the residents to approve the agreement to develop the Shenandoah Hills Wind Project. Thanks.
Thank you. And this is a settlement of it because they did not follow the ordinance they were under. This is not about who want to do business with them or not based on solely they're here with a new application. They broke the ordinance. It was the original ordinance that they even liked. And now, since they didn't want to submit a new application under the new rules, things changed, they're suing. So it's not really, let's let them in or not, based on a new bright day of what they're going to bring to us. They did not follow their own rules from the original ordinance, so then they don't like the new rules, so they sued us. That's where we're at. So it's a settlement to solve that. Do we give in to that or not? That's what this is. It's not pros and cons of wind right now. It's really, do we agree to settle to let them not follow what they were supposed to follow? It's what this is. It's kind of confusing as we sit here. So does anybody else have a comment?
You have a comment online.
Okay, somebody online, state your name, please.
Yeah, my name is Mike Carberry, and I am with a company called Bright Future Iowa. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, and I have worked in the wind and solar business for 20 years. I've never had a professional contract or relationship with Invenergy, but I have worked in many counties that they've done business in at the same time that I was doing business. And I found them to be a good corporate citizens and produce good renewable energy projects. State of Iowa has 99 counties. 84 of those counties are losing population. But what they're not losing is the amount of, they're not losing roads and bridges, they're losing tax base. And one of your previous speakers, I think his name was Greg, was talking about economic development and taxation. Page County is going to need economic development and taxation too, because it's losing population like many other counties in rural Iowa. And I think that the proposed wind project that Invenergy has, it's a good project. I think the settlement that they're offering is fair. I think that it's something that you should consider. A previous speaker had talked about, I think he was from Fremont County, maybe a new supervisor, was talking about 1 mile to 1.5 mile setbacks. About a year ago, Mid-American Energy was in Woodbury County, and they were proposing over 1 mile setbacks for a wind project in Woodbury County. Now, Mid-American Energy has 3,000 wind turbines currently flying in the state of Iowa. And one of their developers from Mid-American said that based on a 1 mile setback, that if they had used a 1 mile setback on their current fleet of wind turbines, that they would have only been able to install 1% of those 3,000 turbines.
I have a question for you real quick, if you don't
Yes,
mind.
go ahead, sir. No, go ahead.
All the positives you're bringing with money and all the things that come in and they're so wonderful, why would
Yes.
that be so? More people wouldn't agree to be by them.
Say again, I didn't catch that.
Why would only 1% want to go along with this? Why wouldn't more people waive it and join up if it's so good?
No, if there was a 1 mile setback because of population density in the state of Iowa, they
No.
would have only been able to install 1%.
Well,
Based
almost
on,
every ordinance in Iowa has an opportunity to waive a setback if you choose to join the project. Every ordinance I've ever read has that in it. So I'm assuming they could waive that.
well, this is assuming that they couldn't. But that's just based on a non-participating landowner. You know, with your standard setback, a lot of times it's between 1,200 and 1,500 feet. This is a standard setback in most ordinances, and I've worked in over 20 counties. And on counties that are trying to work with developers to actually have an ordinance that is a compromise with the developers that gets an actual project put forward. And usually the best deals for the public are someplace in the middle. It's not 1.1 times the turbine height. That's not far enough, but it's not a mile, and it's not a mile and a half, because that's a go away distance. That's what in the industry they would call a poison pill. That kind of setback distance makes a project untenable, and the project goes away. And that's of course what a lot of people would like, is the projects to go away. But as we were talking about, a lot of counties need that economic development. They need that tax replacement. And many counties see the need for that. So it's not an easy decision. And I wish you well. And it's very, it's tough. I was a county supervisor in Johnson County, but I've been out of office for 4 years. So I've had to do utility wind ordinances and utility solar ordinances and comprehensive plans. It's not an easy thing, but I wish you well, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have one online.
Okay, state your name, please.
Claire Simmons. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I am speaking on behalf of Power Up Iowa's Page County Coalition members, and we urge you to vote in support of the agreement with the Shenandoah Hills Wind Energy Center. A delay with the development of this project is not only costing county taxpayers money, but also denying residents revenue that would benefit them for years to come. So please vote in favor of the agreement with the Shenandoah Hills Wind Project. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I apologize. I didn't come here with anything prepared necessarily. Joe Justison, I live north of town here, north of Clarinda. We're here discussing the settlement agreement, which seems to be getting lost in a lot of the conversation. You know, I don't think very many of us would disagree with the idea that in Iowa, we say we do business by handshakes and by our words, right? Could we agree to that? I mean, every one of us is shaking a hand with somebody we know, exchange money for something, surely along the way. We do it on good faith. If I had a salesman look me in the eye and tell me a vehicle was all okay and I didn't make it 2 blocks down the road and the wheels were falling off, the engine blew up, you know, I wouldn't go back to him for another one. Here we're talking about a settlement with a company that we're not even discussing whether we get windmills or don't get windmills at this point. This is whether or not we deal with Invenergy on this particular contract. This is an issue, not whether you're for the money in the county or whether you're for property rights or whatever the case may be. This is regarding the settlement. I wouldn't in a million years do business with a company who has forged signatures, who has lied to their people, who have brought degrading comments to the public. You know, and I think a lot of us are forgetting something here. The Shenandoah guy over here, just a little bit ago, got up here and made mention of property rights of the farmer. What about the property rights of those who are stuck within the bounds of this, the danger of these turbines? We don't want to talk about that, but this is where the conversation keeps on going back to. We're talking about money. Oh, look at the money. Oh, look at the money. Look at the money it's going to bring in. Look at how much they pour into these events over here and these events over there. You know, there's a term for that when we exchange people for money. It's not a good one. And as I consider my neighbor, or if my neighbor considers me, the reason we have ordinances to protect each other's rights. The farmer's not the only one with rights. I have rights, Judy has rights, Jacob has rights, Todd has rights. We all have rights. But if I can't go out and build a house on my property because of my neighbor overstepping my rights, where are my rights? So what's this coming down to here? What's it coming? It's coming down to money. Don't do business with a crooked company. If somebody else wants to come in here and build turbines, let's talk about it then. But they've already burned that bridge, and we need to really consider character and ethics here. Thank you.
Well.
Hi, Heather Coulter, Fremont County. I have a few questions pertaining to the agreement as well as just safety issues, concerns about our rights, as other people have mentioned. So the first thing I see is that on this map, it says for Fremont County and Page County. Are these still joined projects? Are Fremont and Page still a joined Invenergy project?
They're working on both sides of the county line, but we're not together. I mean, they might do a project together, but we're not involved with what Fremont County does. We're our own thing here.
So regardless of the litigation going on right now and the suit that's going for Fremont, it has no application for the settlement or for this project.
This is just Page. Yeah, this is just dealing with
The only thing
Page.
we have power over.
Because in this, it says the board approved SHW CWEX application for the project on August 22nd or August 2 of 22. And so it's, or excuse me, right above that, it's saying going on to as well as neighboring Fremont County, the project. And so it's saying that it's the owner and the developer under development in Page County as well as neighboring Fremont County. So how can that be in this if you guys are separated? How can we still be included? And how can this be a legitimate settlement when it's still combined and we're still in court?
To ask that question, I think it's saying that they're on both sides of the county line, I think.
But is that fair and safe for you guys to have that terminology in here?
It's just mentioning the turbines in our county though. It just talks about the turbines in our county.
Okay, so will there
The
have to be,
locations.
will there have to be new studies done, seeing how these are a little bit old and dated? Some of the studies that are in 21, 22, and we're going on 25 now. So will they have to submit new studies? So we're gonna allow them to have old communication studies, old microwave studies, old sound studies, old bird DNA or DNR studies. All of those are applicable under this new present settlement going forward.
I don't think the settlement allows for that. I don't think it does.
No. That is,
So the settlement, doesn't matter, those don't matter on the settlement.
I don't think so.
Okay. So what are the rate of subsidies on these turbines? So we keep on talking about how the taxpayers are inadvertently coming back to being the paying party. What is the subsidy rate? Are we being subsidized 54%, 67%, 46%? What's the subsidy rate on these? So what otherwise is the subsidy rate for this project that they're wanting to go forward with?
Subsidies from the federal government or from?
Right, so
state
how
or-
much will this project be subsidized by our government? Because as taxpayers, we are inadvertently paying those taxes and paying this government's project.
I'm not, it's a tax credits and I'm not familiar with exactly what that is. I don't know. It's a
Okay.
lot.
A lot, so we're gonna say 50, 60%, 46%?
I don't know how much, I've never tried to build a wind turbine and applied for subsidies, so I don't know.
Okay, what does Page County plan to address on fire hazards? So if we have turbines that are going to be 400, 600 feet tall, what are we going to do to address fires? How are we going to apply what we have and be able to utilize what we have? Do we have extension ladders of that ability? Do we have capabilities with fire? Do we have teams available? Are there training and process already? I mean, what are the steps for that you guys plan on implementing?
I believe most of the fires that I have seen with turbines are basically surround and protect the bottom area around the base of the turbine, because there is no way of fighting those fires up at the top. I think Atchison County has had a fire or two down there, and where Westboro has been dispatched in Tarkio, and I think they've had basically just to surround it and keep the ground underneath it from catching fire. And luckily it was picked corn at the time. But those, and then I believe what I've heard is those get turned over to the company. They have people come out on site to go up there and try to extinguish those or let them burn themselves out. There is not a ladder that's gonna get up there. So that is pretty much the protocol as far as surrounding departments would, how they would handle it. An evacuation area?
How far away do you have to be, like, which people from their homes have to be evacuated?
I mean, that would just.
Make sure we do one at a
Yeah.
time here. We gotta speak
Yeah,
one at
so-
a time or it's gonna go wild. So,
But as far as, evacuations, that would probably depend on what's down below it burning. If you had standing corn and a windy day, and there's a lot of variables there, so I would, hate to say, I don't, have seen where their safety requirements during lightning is, I think, a half mile. The workers have to stay a half mile away from the turbines during lightning storms, so, that would, something that could be an issue.
So Page County feels like they're prepared for a size of fire that's potential. I mean, there's been, what, like 6 fires in the last 2 years for industrial turbines in neighboring Iowa counties?
again, this is to settle something
Right.
from the past. That an ordinance that is no longer even in place anymore. That's where we're at.
Okay, we'll move on. So let's talk about the settlement and the decommissioning. Is it gonna be made public? Why isn't it made public already?
I thought that it was, so if it isn't, it needs to be. I agree with that.
It hasn't been.
Does it include the removal of old blades as well
And
on a regular maintenance basis?
our new one did. Now, the old one, I'm not for sure.
Yeah, we can look into this. It's a good question. I thought it was, so we need to look into that and see that it
I don't
was.
think it has been.
It hasn't been. I thought it
Is
was.
maintenance included in This project is in like, they're responsible for maintenance, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and so therefore, if old blades are removed, is the county responsible or is Invenergy responsible or is Mid-American responsible? Because Mid-American has released their liability for other counties and other blades there.
The county's not responsible for taking their blades off the turbines.
Okay, well, I'm just asking because right now we have a lawsuit saying that we need to get the blades removed from Jasper County. And we have the state going after Mid-America as well as whomever the company is, I'm guessing Invenergy, that has left them there. So what if that becomes Page County? Where are we gonna house all these blades? I mean, granted, it's only 23, so then of course, you got like 68, 59, you got maybe 123. How many blades are gonna be allowed to pile up if that happens?
Well, I know the Page County landfill, as before I was there, they will not take a blade.
They will not take a blade. Okay, so there's not a proposed area that we would house these if it came down to us keeping them.
Right.
So then also, what does runs with the project mean? It's in the section 4H on the proposed agreement. What does that mean, runs with the project? You say that the project is just that the settlement is just for Page County, but the project, according to this, is Fremont and Page County. And so runs with the project, what does that mean?
We could make a decision for Fremont County. So it would have to be under what Page County's situation is.
But I'm saying this is in your settlement. It's saying runs with the project. So if the project and this project layout has on here Fremont and Page, how is that allowed to be in there? What does that mean? Because it sounds like it's incorporating Fremont and it's under the rug about it.
Fremont doesn't have anything to do with it.
I think brings up a good point that we probably need to get clarity.
Look at that, but we can only decide for Page County.
Yeah, we can only make decisions that impact Page.
And that's what it's talking about, is
And
the
our hope
turbines
would-
in Page County.
Yeah, and my hope would be that anything we decide here does not impact Fremont County.
I think it's mentioning it because Fremont County has it going also, but it's only talking about the turbines in Page County.
So you're explicitly saying that nothing in this settlement will affect or
Fremont
have
County.
effect on Fremont
No.
County?
We can't do anything.
We can't make any decisions for Fremont County. No.
So what is the anticipated timeline for building? Somebody else mentioned 2 years worth of, workers coming in here to be renting and, participating with meals at different restaurants. What's the timeline? What are you guys expecting as far as how long does it take to build 23 turbines according to Invenergy?
Guess that's something they can answer.
Yeah, they have not given us a timeline. So,
And that's it? So they'll tell us about the timeline? And he's up next to answer all these questions?
I don't, whenever they choose to do so.
or I think we have some other people to talk, so.
All right, I think we're covered.
Okay. Anybody have another public comment?
This is Chaz Allen on the internet.
Did you say your
What's the
name
name?
was?
Chaz Allen.
Chaz Allen?
Yep. So I have a unique position here. I represent the utilities, but I also was former mayor of Newton, Iowa, and Jasper County keeps being brought up. All of those blades have been removed by a private entity. No state, federal, or county dollars were used to move those blades. And there are recycling plans in place for those blades to be disposed of other than a landfill.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Does have a comment?
Did you want to read the comment we got emailed?
Oh, was there one there I didn't?
Well, there was supposed to be one read tonight.
I didn't see it. Here, go ahead. Okay.
Just in super quick, Because I think, again, a lot of people are getting kind of confused about, oh, sorry, my name is Caitlin Holmes. I'm from Page County. I think a lot of people are getting confused about what it is. 2 of these supervisors are on the side of already being concerned about this. So, I mean, I feel sometimes like the questions are assuming that you think things are great. And 2 of these supervisors have been very clear that they don't agree that it's great. Obviously, they disagreed with the inconsistencies and things that were missing in the ordinance that we're talking about enough that it was completely changed. I looked real quick. I can't get it to load all the way, but the decommissioning is on the website. I couldn't get it to load all the way down. I don't know about the road use, but the decommissioning where you talked about like it had to be buried so deep and they had to remove the concrete so deep in the ground and all of that on the new ordinance is.
The new one.
Yes.
We're worried about the one.
We're worried
from
about
this.
the old one.
I know, I'm saying like, that's what sorry, I'm trying to say like, you guys are worried
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah. 'Cause I-
And, you know, even one of the previous supervisors, within 3 weeks of this application being submitted, also voted for, as pro-wind as they were, also saw errors within that, which isn't their fault for when they submitted.
Right.
But that was why the moratorium took place. So I think that's kind of what it is. It seems like we're not getting an answer on some of these questions, but the truth is at least 2 of these people are just as concerned as you are about the issues with the previous ordinance.
Okay, another public comment?
Hi, Brandon, Page County. First, before I forget, I do want to thank you guys all for being up there. It is a tough job, all of you guys. But, and we've heard from both sides, there's gonna be pros and cons on both sides. One side's gonna end up mad. But I think we've heard all the facts, about what kind of company they are. And that should say something. My guess is you guys already maybe have your mind made up what you're gonna do, whatnot, but, just the facts alone and what they've promised and not promised, haven't fulfilled, any of their stuff. So, I mean, I would vote no on the settlement. They've shown that they're a multi-billion-dollar company. They're gonna bully themselves around, and that's what they're doing. You just said that they're suing us because they're not getting their way and they're crying, and they got a lot of money to back that up. And putting fear in you guys and in the county. And so I don't have anything else really to say, but I know you're all, Christian people. And so it made me think of the scripture that the fear of man brings a snare, which is a trap. So I don't know, that's just what I want to end with. And so anyway, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else?
You want me to read this email?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we received an email from, Sue Kelly, who is a Page County resident. And, says, I'm a resident of Page County and I'm pleading you to vote no on the installation of turbines in Page County. I am concerned with turbine T48, which is due to be installed off of F Avenue. This turbine will be installed too close to my residence. I have lived here for 16 years and have enjoyed the peace and quiet and the wildlife around my property. I am deeply concerned that the turbine would not only eliminate the wildlife, but also lower my property value. I am pleading with you to vote no. It is my opinion that absentee owners nor the Shenandoah Hills Wind do not have any interest in our properties or our concern and lifestyles. Therefore, because it does not affect them, they should not be first on priorities. Don't you believe that a resident of Page County should have more voice than an absentee landowner? Since we have not been contacted by the wind turbine company, we are concerned for our health My husband just got out of hospital due to severe lung issues and feel like the effects of the turbines will hurt his health. We need to keep Page County turbine free. We need not look at ways to bring revenue to Page County. So that was an email that we got that we were asked to read, so.
And like she just said, is anybody in here that lives close to where a turbine's gonna be built? Because that is who really settlement's gonna affect the most. Anybody that's close to the 23 we're talking about. Lives close to the 23 turbines that are on this settlement. This is people that are affected by what happens here directly. Now come up and speak if you're here, if you haven't, a thought on it.
Roger Jones, a farmer from Shenandoah. I live right in the middle of this project. Actually, on a farm we have, one will be right on the property line and be within probably 1,500 feet of the residence.
Of your house?
My son's house, a farm that I own. One of the reasons that I'm in favor of this project is exactly that. He's a young farmer. He's got 3 little girls. We've owned that farm. I'm the 4th generation. He's the 5th generation. And I hope that one of those girls may be a 6th generation. And like several people have said, the farm economy is not great right now. But I look at it as a way to diversify our farm and hope in the future it'll help him mostly, because I'll be gone, if these contracts are for 30 years, if I last another 10 years, I'll be doing pretty good. So.
Which turbine is it? Do you know what you signed?
I can't tell this by this map.
Where's your address?
Actually, there are 2 turbines that I would get benefit from 1/2 of one, and he would get a benefit from 1.5 turbines.
Okay.
So,
But you signed up?
Yes, we did.
So you're good with it?
And we're in the middle of the project.
Okay, that's just.
I've been to the base of quite a few turbines, and I don't think we'll have a problem with it. So, thank you for.
Thanks.
Blessing. Thank you.
Roger Jones.
I'm Dan Weiss, and I'm a neighbor to Roger, and I consider Roger a friend of mine. The windmill, I believe it's 44, is right close to where I farm, and we're right next to my parents' house, and my opinion is just too darn close.
Okay, I see that there. It's very close. Okay.
I'm Mark Cutler, not prepared to speak at all tonight, but my concerns involve 51, 52, and 53. They're all in this section across the road from my house. One would be within the 1,500 feet or whatever it's gonna be. I really don't want them there, but that's whatever. Another concern is that section has a gas line running through it, and that has been brought up several times. I thought at one time they said they couldn't be built within pretty good distance of the pipeline. So that's a concern. The other thing, looking at this map, I would say a pink dotted line says a good neighbor agreement eligibility or something like that. It's pretty hard to read. What is that?
I think that if you're within that, they're gonna come talk to you about that, trying to offer a settlement.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're in that, okay, 53. Anybody else in the close to one of these things we're talking about?
Is there anybody else online? Anybody else online want to make any comments?
This is Ashley Yarkowski. I
Okay,
just
go
would
ahead, Ashley.
like to say a lot of the pro that I have heard tonight has had to do with revenue and money. And I know Joe touched on this too, and it just makes me sick as I watch my kids run around here tonight that I don't know what it, because like the guy from the Iowa board of whatever that's put up a lot of solar, he said how populations have decreased, but he's totally for the project. I don't know what a county is with money and no families and no kids. What good is money doing the county? And I do have a question that if this litigation is settled and these turbines, these proposed turbines go up, they go up under the old ordinance, correct? The
Yes.
old ordinance guideline, but we still, as a county, have to be prepared to take care of the problems like the fires and everything else. And it doesn't really sound like we're prepared as a county to be able to take care of those problems. So I guess I would just urge you to vote no, because it still doesn't sound like we're quite prepared to take on this project and all the problems that come along with it.
Okay. Does that comment?
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Crystal World, okay.
I gotta come up with a mic.
So the point of tonight's meeting and public hearing is to discuss whether the settlement as it's written should be accepted on an application that was made on the old ordinance that was voided due to material change. That's the reason that we're here tonight. Are we telling Invenergy that they're not welcome to submit a new application under the new ordinance?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, we received an email also, I think, on, what was that I saw before I left, 47?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, but it has no, there's no legal. It was submitted by somebody with a different name than the person.
Huh? Oh, 47, I see, Brad, you're out there, you live out there, I think we got an email from your wife, you want to speak to that?
No.
Huh?
He doesn't want to talk.
Oh, we got an email, I think Brad's wife sent here that said 47 is too close to his house. So, I received that.
Okay.
So, I guess, yeah, I'll come up here. Answer.
Good evening, Dan Litchfield with Invenergy, Shenandoah Hills Wind. It's great to be back in Page County. I had a few things I wanted to share and took some notes of some of the questions people asked. I'm happy to try to address them tonight. So thanks for having this venue and everyone for their commentary here. And thank you to Page County for continuing to work with us. We have discussed with your attorney what is a meaningful compromise, and I appreciate the thought for this. So I just want to summarize changes that we've agreed to from the application that has been discussed tonight. So we have agreed to increase residential setbacks for non-participating homes to a minimum of 1,800 feet. We have also agreed to reduce the number of wind turbines. We have agreed to narrow the wind turbine models to a specific list. We have agreed to offer neighbor agreements to everybody within a half a mile of a proposed turbine. They're totally voluntary. No one has to sign one, of course, but a way of extending the direct benefits of the project to neighboring homeowners. We've also agreed to implement an ADLS, and there were some questions about that I'd like to try to address. This is a acronym that stands for Aircraft Detection Lighting System. And the intent of the system is to turn the lights off. I've heard that from some people in this room in the past, including the Hunter family. You don't like the red lights. I get it. That's what this system is designed to do. It consists of a radar unit that detects aircraft that are flying at a certain altitude in the direction of the project, and keeps the lights off until it sees an airplane and then turns the lights on. We have some experience with these, but it's still a new system, and that leads to the language we proposed in the agreement. But in order to implement this, we need another permit from Page County for the location of the tower. We need approval from the Federal Aviation Administration to use this system in lieu of the standard blinking red lights. We also need a permit from the Federal Communications Commission because it is a radar unit. So we will work to get these approvals, and it's still a new system. We have successfully integrated 2 of these at Invenergy, one in Michigan that I'm not very familiar with, and one in South Dakota that I am familiar with. And this was, I think, our first one. That system's been operating for about 3 years now, and it generally keeps the lights off about 90% of the time. It will turn them on if a plane is coming. It will turn them on if there's a poor weather conditions, but it's effective. We also have 3 other systems approved and in construction. So of Invenergy's 115, 120 or so wind farms, I don't remember the number. This is a new technology that we are implementing where we can. I got 4 other points that I took notes on, and I'm happy to field some questions if you have them. There was a reference to a pipeline, and we are also concerned about the pipeline. We know where the pipeline is. We have surveyed it. We are not proposing wind turbines on top of the pipeline. We have, in fact, have a setback distance from the pipeline. We've had some discussions with the owner about a crossing agreement because we need to cross with an underground power line and an access road. This is fairly routine, and it's coordination with the existing utility owner, whether it's a pipeline, a transmission line, fiber optic, and work together to cross. And they would be the incumbent. We'd have to obviously work around their pipeline safely. Road use agreement and decommissioning, that is addressed or mentioned in this settlement agreement that was negotiated in the fall of 2022. The point of those agreements is to protect the county. There's reasonable concerns raised about what if the project gets abandoned. That's what the decommissioning agreement is designed to address. So it provides for a funding mechanism to pay to ensure there is payment to money to remove the equipment at the end of the life of the project. It also has a mechanism for updating the cost estimate to do such removal to ensure there's adequate funding. So we hear the concern. This is a way to address it. Also a road use agreement. So this acknowledges that there'll be heavy loads brought in to construct the project. There probably will be some impacts to the roads, and the project will fix them. So you break it, you buy it type of concept. There'll be an analysis ahead of time of which roads we want to be used. Are those roads adequate? Are there upgrades that are needed upfront? Otherwise, adjusting the traffic plan accordingly. Finally, there were some questions about the timeline, and I'm happy to address that. So the main point I want to make is this is a real project. We see a real opportunity to move this forward. This agreement is a way to do that. The project would be operating by now, if not for the dispute we find ourselves in, but we see an opportunity to move forward and start construction on the project this spring. And the timeline to build the project would be less than a year. So when frost breaks and construction conditions are suitable, the plan would be to start construction, and it would be concluded by the end of the year. So, just again, thank you for considering this and thanks for your time today. And if you have some questions further, I'll try to address them.
Jane Stimson, it's on the ADLS. The project may be fully in operation approximately 9 months before an ADLS can be implemented, if you can kind of give reasoning for that. And then down there, it says project will be artificially lighted only to the extent required by the FAA. I thought that was until you could get it up. I don't know if that's what that is or what.
Yes, thank you for the question. It's about the timeline. So like I mentioned, there's some permitting that needs to be done both locally and at the federal level, and that may take some time. My expectation is the 9 months after the wind farm is a conservative estimate. We'll get right on it as soon as we have an agreement here and try to bring that in and have it done. But it's just acknowledging that there's a process that has to be followed. And that's the timeline. And then artificially lit, that's the red lights. And so the point is that language says we will try to minimize the use of that lighting.
I have a question along the same lines. We never did, because I asked also, like, would Invenergy consider that the Fremont portion of the county?
The question is, would they consider doing the ADLS lights in Fremont County?
Yes, great question. Thank you for the reminder, Mrs. Hunter. Yes, it would cover the whole project, both counties. And just to address that, this is still a 2-county project. And this one radar system would address both counties. Good.
I did have another question too. On your increased setbacks, you said from 1,500 feet to 1,800 feet, but just clarity, you didn't actually move any, that was where they were already, all the turbines. When you had done the first project, you said we were able to go more than 1,800 feet from, so you didn't actually change or compromise.
No, and actually we did. There were some turbines proposed less than 1,800 feet, and we have eliminated them from consideration on the map. We have a large laminated map we could share, but they're marked with red. And then there are 3 turbine locations, if memory serves, that we're proposing moves.
I didn't see any turbines that you had eliminated from the final project before. I didn't see the 3 turbines were removed, and then that's what the 20% or that 20% change or whatever. But I specifically remember them presenting that we were able to get larger setbacks, so it's a better deal than 1,500 feet. So I'm just saying, like, you're saying it's a compromise, and I've just noticed because I've been here all these meetings, that it's really not a compromise for you, it's where they already were. And we're just concerned for some of our neighbors that there might not be very many that it's closer for that person.
Well, I just respectfully disagree that there are some turbines that we have removed from consideration that were less than 1,800 feet. And there were a couple turbines that were like 1,750 feet or so that we are moving to be at least 1,800 feet. And I know the large map we brought with us indicates that. I think it's indicated on those. If not, I'd be happy to get you a map too and review that.
Yeah, I really like to know.
We have,
I don't have the number, apparently my numbers aren't right, because I had marked the ones that you would remove for the radio towers and one remove because of signature. But I don't see how it's got many further away from these people, like 47, that's just what they call it.
So I have a map here dated September 25th, 2024. I think it's just a large version of what you have on your desk. If not, and if you want to come up here, Mrs. Hunter, I'm happy to review this with you, but there's red symbols that indicate removed turbines. So these are turbine 77, 54, 57, 56, 50, 64, 65, and 62. We will not build those turbines.
List that again, would you? List those numbers
List them
again.
again, sorry, I'll do it a little slower too. Starting from the north side of the project, turbine number 77. Then moving south, turbine 54, turbine 50, number 57, number 56, number 64, number 65, and number 62. Those are all removed. And then this map also indicates yellow and blue turbine locations. Yellow were as proposed in our application from March 22. And then blue on this map indicates moves. So, and they are called out on this map. We tried to make it as clear, but for example, the gentleman over here who brought up 51, 52, 53, turbine 51, we're proposing a move of 389 feet. Turbine 52, a move of 128 feet. And then there's three others. Turbine 76 would move 77 feet. Turbine 47, 84 feet. And turbine 48, 167 feet. And I'll leave this map here if you or anyone else would like to examine it.
On the, I'm just curious, on the ones that we're setting up and we're moving, and has there been, hang on just a second, Sherry, just please. On the siting of those, have you already done the studies where you're pretty confident that that's where they're gonna be able to be moved to, and the placement as far as land and topography and all that stuff, that those are locations so that we don't get into this and then all of a sudden now you're wanting to move them different directions because of something in the ground that doesn't let you build where you thought you could build?
Great question. So there's three things we need to do. Do new geotechnical testing. So we drill a hole where every turbine is proposed to see what the soils are like to make sure it's suitable. And we've already done that, I believe. Is that right, Kate? The geotechnical drilling? Sorry, that'll happen in December. And then when the turbine moves more than one latitude second, or latitude longitude second, it requires a new FAA approval. So we will need to do that. But we're not conditioning this agreement on getting those. We think we can do that. If not, it's our risk and we'll not build those either. But we would need to do that. And we're planning to mobilize, do the drilling in December, and the FAA right after this agreement is finalized, if it is finalized. We've also already inspected and believe these will be suitable as far as slope and wetlands and things like that. There's other, as I think you know, and I'll just repeat it because it's important, there's a whole bunch of other constraints we look at, use the term constraints, but setbacks from noise, from houses and property lines and transmission lines. There's also environmental features we have to incorporate. And we've looked at all that as far as these moves.
Yeah, I ask him a question directly.
Yep, you wanna come up? It's just, yeah, why don't you come up here so that people can hear, and then we can.
To try to help find a middle of the road here of where everybody's direction, I think, is trying to go. What is the lowest number of turbines to make it worth having the project? And could you complete this project under the new ordinance? And if so, why are we still chasing down this original application if you're confident that a new application could work? What I'm asking though is, under a new application, would you have enough turbines to make the project worth being here? And also, if you can remember that, so that I don't have to come up here twice. If you're willing to resume risk on the assumption that you can get federal approval for the ADA systems and everything, why is the subject line of part of the lawsuit that you have invested so much money into this project that you are coming after our county on your risk on this project, on this application for this project.
Thank you. That's a complicated question, the last one, but I don't have a minimum number of turbines. This is a good faith proposal that is compromise and a reduction. And this is what's on the table. Number two, no, we could not do this project or any project under the new ordinance. I think that perhaps was the intent of the new ordinance. I don't know, but when I don't have it in front of me, but like a setback of a mile from a property line.
Let me cut in there, that can be waived. So if people wanted to do it, you could build the whole county full of them, but your neighbors would have to be made aware and choose to join in with you. Right, you could build a project if people agree. As good as they are, I would think they all would, as I've been pitched. Right? Is that not?
Mr. Holmes, I appreciate the
They
suggestion.
they can waive that setback. It is not in concrete. Anybody can waive that. Right.
Yes, and I'm happy to answer your question.
Yeah.
There's two things, but yes, we could go negotiate again. We already did that, but we could do it again. We could try to offer more money. But that's not why some people choose to participate or not. I've been doing this for 17 and a half years. And sometimes you run into a family situation, you have 8 different heirs that own a piece of property. They can't agree on a drain tile program, let alone a long-term wind easement. So it's not about our effort or other incentives to get people to participate. It just becomes impractical. And when you have terrain like we have here and in much of the Midwest, we got sections, roads every mile, and you have a setback of 1 mile, you've got to get every single piece of land or else you can't do it. There's other things like the limit on the height of the turbines is impractical in today's market. And the noise limit, if I recall, I think was 35 decibels. That's less noise than there is on a still night. So that means you couldn't build anything if that was a limit. A house with an air conditioner, a grain bin dryer, that is not a workable ordinance. So I'm sorry, no, the truth is we cannot proceed under this ordinance. I'm sorry, I forgot the third question.
My third question was, you mentioned that you're willing to take the risk on if this settlement were to go through. You still have things that you're trying to agree to do, but you're willing to take the risk to approach the federal government for approval on some of these things that are deciding factors on the settlement. If they don't approve, are you gonna come back with another amended settlement or are you gonna drop the project? Because that's a risk that you're willing to take.
We have done a lot of research on this area from like an airspace perspective, from a engineering soil perspective. We think we can deal with that. As far as the FAA, FCC approval of the ADLS, we propose that language accordingly. So I think this is a reasonable compromise, and we look forward to trying to work together with the county and dozens of your landowners to build the project.
Good.
Thank you for your time.
We're talking about Page County, right?
Yes.
He just defined the project as Page and Fremont County. Answer that, please.
I don't know, I think that's self-explanatory, but the agreement on the table tonight has nothing to do with Fremont County. It describes the project as being a 2-county project, which it is. And that's our plan, to build wind turbines in both counties and have a 2-county project.
If the Fremont County litigation ends up where you can't build in Fremont County, what does that do to the Page County when you're just building 23 turbines? Does that make it not profitable for you guys as far as that goes for the project? Can you do one without the other, or?
I'm not gonna speculate on pending litigation, but I will say The lawsuit was dismissed. We feel confident in the position and we're looking forward to building a 2-county project if we can.
What is the timeline in Fremont County?
Same timeline, start in the spring. and
There's nothing holding you up in Fremont County right now.
Just winter weather and a
Just
few other
weather.
details.
Just for clarification, turbine number 77 was removed because of the trace. Turbine 54 was removed because of the tower. Number 50 is a false signature. Number 57, also a false signature. Number 56, tower. Number 64 was already moved before we'd stopped the project or whatever. Number 65 was also because of the tower. Number 62 is not close to a residence, so I don't know why it was removed. Just for clarification.
Okay.
Do you have anything else for me?
Don't think so. We've got, as we get ready, we're winding this down. Is there
Can I-
anybody else? Hold on one second. Is there anyone else here that lives by one of these turbines, these 23 turbines, that has an opinion on this? Or we want to make sure we hear from them for sure. I've got 4 people we've heard from that live very close to them. 5, one's okay with it, 4 that aren't. Is there anybody else that lives within a half a mile of one of these turbines? That's sitting here that came here or is online? Okay, we have an online comment. Who's that?
Ashley Yarkowski, I would just like to say, he stood up there and said he doesn't want to speculate, but to me, that's all he did was stand up there and speculate. He didn't give one fact or answer one question. It was all they are working on this. So with your litigation, with everything they're still working on, what is holding their hand to the fire to say that they're going to actually work on it and stay true to the word and come through with it? How do we know that as a county? Because they've already been shown and proven lie after lie after lie. They never come with facts.
Yeah, hi, I have a comment, please. A statement I'd like to read.
Here we go here.
Can you say your name, please?
Yes, hi, my name is Rachel Eason, and I am reading a statement on behalf of Ray Gasser, who is the chair of the Iowa Conservative Energy Forum, who unfortunately could not be here to speak tonight. And he reads, "Dear Page County Board of Supervisors, I am writing to voice my support in favor of the upcoming agreement between Page County and Shenandoah Hills. Wind energy has benefited communities across Iowa for 30 years, contributing millions directly to schools and tax revenue for counties to allocate for community services and infrastructure improvements without increased taxes on residents. Over 60% of the state's energy comes from wind. When we produce more energy than we need, we are able to sell and export it just like any other crop. Wind, on the other hand, is harvested all year round and offers diversification for farmers' operations that are not vulnerable to market conditions. I'm a farmer. I know firsthand how bad commodity prices have been, not to mention all the harsh weather faced by Iowa's food producers. Why wouldn't our state and communities want to embrace a resource like wind that offers a significant benefit that positively impacts our lives? I encourage you to seriously consider this question when making your vote this evening. Thank you for your consideration."
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, Audrey Farwell. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we
Yep,
can.
go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. My name is Audrey Farwell. My husband Ross and I live by Northborough. We are about directly in the project. We are in favor of wind turbines, and we have a massive amount of respect for everybody who we've met who works for Invenergy. We feel that everything they've told us and all the times they've come to our house to sit at our dinner table with us They have been nothing but respectful to us and our family, and also to the people of our county and what they hope to bring to our county. I also want to say thank you to the supervisors for all that they do and the time that they put in. This is a time-consuming thing, and we appreciate everything that you do. We would like to ask that you vote yes tonight in favor of this, as we are in support of wind turbines, and we appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Anybody else? We'll close the public hearing if there's no other comments. If not, if there's no one else, then we will have a motion to come out of the public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we come out of public hearing.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion and a second. You roll call that, Kristen?
Mayor,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes. Clark?
Yes.
Okay, we've come out of our public hearing. Appreciate everybody sharing their concerns. Next up on the agenda, we have discuss an action on this settlement. To go into that. I heard tonight, I think, I clearly recorded this, 4 turbines that are a problem with people directly next to their homes. Mark Cutler, Kelly out there on J52, Dean Weiss and Brad Hutchison. What I heard, what I recorded. Did you write those down?
Yes.
I have an issue with those 4 turbines. So those are the direct people actually being affected. Does the wind company have power to do anything about that and change the settlement here tonight or not? Is there somebody here who has the power to change the settlement at all? Okay, your attorney's back there.
Which turbine numbers were those again, please?
53 by Mark Cutler, is the closest to his house. 48. So I missed her first name, but it's Kelly that sent us the email Todd read.
Sue Kelly.
Sue Kelly. And then we have
And that was
44 is by Dean Weiss. And 47 is by Brad Hutchison, Brad and Kathy Hutchison. Those are the 4 that were brought up that are actually directly impacted by this, that showed concern, public hearing. Do you have the power to remove those 4 turbines to go forward with the settlement?
Just one moment, please. I want to study the map.
Yep.
I do have the power. I just want to understand. Is that it? You have other
So we
issues?
have some wording issues I made in the settlement here. We've brought, several things were brought up tonight. The paragraph where it talks about, let's see, it's, what was that, 4B? Is that right? No, 2B. The vested right language. The whole paragraph's kind of an issue, but no, we don't. I myself don't agree you really had a vested right. We're doing this to settle a lawsuit, but I don't think you ever really had a vested right myself. Language with that, what was other questions we had as they went through there?
Well, the one thing was, that was brought up quite a bit was if we could have some clarity on, what was it, the running of the project or, and runs with the project. On H, I think it's 4H, yeah, 4H in the agreement, that wording? Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I'd
Term.
like to just get a copy of it to read it for a second.
Yeah,
Yep.
so get that.
The run with the project thing is an easy explanation. So what that means is that if we were to sell the project, which has happened, it could happen, this agreement runs with it. It's still in full force and effect. I think we both want this.
Yep.
This means if we sell it, the new owner has to comply with this. Mr. Holmes, what was the paragraph that you had a question?
2B.
2B.
In the county's part.
Yeah. Is it the whole?
Well,
paragraph?
the whole thing's kind of a
I think this is kind of
issue,
fundamental.
but the vested right state wording, there's another place that I had missed, I didn't catch before, where it says, where was that? Another place in here, yeah, it's be in the first page, G. It says challenging the recession of the August 2nd, 2022 CWEX permit. There was no permit ever. The judge even stated that. There was an approved application. I thought we caught all those. The wording approved application. There, do you see that? We missed that permit word. That in August 2nd, your application was approved. There was no permit issued on August 2nd. You aware of that? And everywhere else, we took the word permit out of here. That was struck from this, because we went through the settlement. So I'd like that word to be changed to approved application, which we did at many other places. In this, we missed that one. That word, and I don't like that vested right issue, that sentence about acquired a vested right, I guess 3B3.
My attorney is in the room. I'd like to confer.
Yeah,
with him
that's all
if I
right.
could.
That's all right.
Do you have anything else?
Well, that Mark mentioned, and I didn't, as I was reeling this off. 852 is probably, I was trying to go basically, which is a big compromise, because like we said, we think a mile is where we went with our new ordinance. Within a half a mile of people that are concerned, and 52 is probably there also, I would guess, by looking at it, somewhere in that ballpark. You look at the map, but 53 definitely is very close. And the measurement on 43 also. That's for Dean.
Move them all.
These are the 4 people that came in here with concern. It's a public hearing.
This might benefit because there's numerous changes from another discussion, because your counsel's not here to explain the terms.
Yeah. Are you willing to delete? There's 6 turbines, we do 52 and 43. Are you willing to delete those 6 if we would settle this?
You just added by 50%.
Yeah, well,
So
the 4 are the most important. I added 2 more that were slightly further. So 4, are you willing to do the 4 up to 6? Are you game for the 4?
I'm not agreeing to any component. I'd like to gather your feedback in whole. I thought we had that, but that's why we have.
Well, we had a public hearing. So we had 4 people come in here, which is good to hear from them. And these are the 4 that had issue. We had many people that are out there that didn't have an issue, so. Do you have a thought, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, what can we do to settle this? And at least those 4 people try to make it so that the setback is agreeable at some form to.
I think in the settlement, it'd be all or nothing, I think, on these for moving them.
we're not here in a hot rush tonight. We appreciate your input. So I can consider the turbines and the language, but
Well, you want to consider that? What's your thoughts, Judy? Do you want any removed? or
I mean,
not?
we can't, we came here to consider it tonight, and now you're wanting to change everything, Jacob.
Well, part of considering things is changing things.
I mean, I thought we had the turbines all
We had-
settled,
Do you have any issue?
and now
with-
people want to change them?
Well, the
This,
public's the first time they've got to speak on this settlement, because it's been done. in
But the
closed session.
people had already agreed on the turbines.
Huh? Let's keep it quiet from the audience, but that's right. So what I'm saying is, so these 4 people that raised concern, are we willing to, I'm willing to consider these 4 turbines at the least up to. 2
Are you
more.
wanting to delete them or just move them?
It'd be deletion now, because we have to have something in stone to go forward, is what it'd be. I don't think they can move them.
Why do you want to delete? First of all, you said move them, now you're saying delete them.
I said removed, and it's.
You said move them first.
Remove, sorry. Now, we had people come in tonight, and I wrote them down and wrote us emails on these 4 specific turbines. There's other people who didn't. We're not the people that came to the advertised public hearing and have an issue. I think that's our compromise, because we are, again, compromising here. They're not having to go into the new ordinance. They're getting, people pointed out all kinds of things they're not having to do. So this is the 4 people that came into concern. I believe that's compromise. That's good faith on your half. I can see good faith in you guys even thinking about this. So if you want to adjust this, I think we get a compromise and we go forward in Page County that might work. What do you think, Todd? I mean, have thoughts? Judy, you not wanting to change anything? I'm not putting words in your mouth.
I thought we had it all settled, that the turbines were where they were going to be.
So the 4 people that came in tonight. and
I
showed
thought
concern,
it was all okay.
Well, they just said it wasn't, so
Yeah, I thought it was all okay.
well, they're telling us not, and I'd like to represent those 4 people and maybe have a peaceable agreement here.
yeah.
I just would like to point out, there's some people who came in here tonight because they want turbines.
And
If I make
that,
a
we're not asking you to remove that guy's turbine. You know, the guy that came here that lives by one, Jones, Mr. Jones, we're not telling you to
What
get
did
rid
you
of that one.
just say?
I was just trying to answer the question. If I make a decision to remove a turbine at someone's request, that means I'm taking it away from someone else. So I don't want to do that lightly.
And we're not also not going into people that own land and want to build houses either, which we do care about. These are people with actual homes, very close. These 4 turbines, they're within the 1,800, probably right on the nose. Pretty close to that. That's who we're talking about. We're looking at homes, and our first obligation as supervisor is not even generating revenue. It is to protect, we've read this over and over and over, the peace and operation of people that live here, their safety. That's in the supervisor handbook. So that's our first obligation. It comes over money. But these 4 specific people have raised a concern, and I think that's compromise. We had a public hearing, and that's who came.
I will say that we have spoken, I can't say to all 4 people recently, but I need at least one of them and proposed additional compromise. So, we'll continue to do that. When is your next board meeting? Tuesday, Thursdays? It's not gonna be
Tuesday.
This, we have, because of Thanksgiving, we'll meet this next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Coming Tuesday, right?
Yep.
Could we
26th.
discuss it then, or we need more time for notice?
We can announce tonight that in our public hearing that we will talk about it Tuesday.
I think it's, again, I'm not your lawyer. but,
Right,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And I would encourage you to confirm with your lawyer. I think because this meeting was properly noticed, that if an agenda item is tabled publicly at the meeting and then properly noticed on 24 hours notice for the next meeting, that we anticipate taking it off the table. I think that is legally sufficient, but.
I agree.
I don't know.
Are you online
Is
there?
it Eric?
I sure am. I agree.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's our attorney.
Okay, so we can table this and come back Tuesday.
That'll give you guys time to,
Those are the 4 main turbines, or 6 for the possible, but those 4, 53, 48, 44, and 47. And the vested right and the permit language I'm concerned about too.
Just to make sure I understand, the permit comment is on recital G.
Yeah.
And the word challenging the rescission of the August 2nd, 2022 CWAX permit, you would prefer the word approval?
Approved application. You got your application approved. It's not a permit.
And if I can speak briefly to that, I agree. We thought we had caught all those.
Yeah,
It
we
looks
looked
like-
through
It
them.
looks like there may be two that we didn't.
Yeah.
That part's an easy change.
Yeah.
I think the one in 2B is a little more complicated.
Well, my thoughts on that are this. We don't want, even in this situation, if we settle, to harm somebody in the future, claiming you have a vested right, when we don't agree you really have one. We're settling this.
No, and to be clear, certainly the intent of that paragraph, and I think it reads this way, you are not conceding that issue. What it says is that we have asserted that, right? Part of this is setting up that there are disputed issues to be settled. And so you are not concurring or agreeing in any way with that assertion. All it says is we've asserted that.
Okay, that's what my concern is. But Eric, you speak to that or?
Absolutely. Yeah, the idea is to set up that there's a disagreement, not to agree that there's a vested right.
Okay, let's just want to make sure we don't agree to that anyway.
Okay.
Okay, so really it comes down to a few turbines that are close to people that came to our public hearing here tonight. It was posted for a long time. So I guess we table this. Is that what you want to do, Tom?
Yeah, I would just say, you know, this is, obviously, there's a lot of information to go over, and there's a lot of good points on both sides.
So run the numbers by again, Jacob.
53, 48, 44, and 47.
Okay, just those four.
And then there's two more. If we go farther, 43 and 52. But the main four, the absolute four, I think, in my opinion, is those four.
Okay.
But as I was saying, so yeah, it's a very heated and passionate debate. And I think as jobs of ours, as a supervisor, it is trying to find a good balance to meet everybody's needs and wants and try to do it respectfully. And my biggest fear is always protecting the non-participating landowners in this and making sure that they are protected as well. So yeah, I would vote to table this for tonight and, you know, revisit it on Tuesday if you get some answers to the questions that we've raised as far as the agreement. I think it obviously is in everybody's best interest to get this put to rest. But
yeah, that's what we want to do. Okay, well, then are we done? So
No, we need to take a vote on that.
We
Probably
table
a
motion to table.
so, yeah, so I would make a motion that we table this till Tuesday, November 26th,
6 p.m.
6 p.m. board meeting.
I'll second that.
A motion, a second to table this till Tuesday, the 26th at 6 p.m. this coming Tuesday. A roll call that.
Mayor,
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
And did you make clear you want those 4 turbines removed?
Yes, I would agree to that.
It's like 6 turbines removed, 4 absolute.
Yeah,
Okay. Voted on that. What's on our
see what the
agenda?
counter offer is, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you very
weekend.
much.
Okay, on our agenda, we have, is Michelle here somewhere?
Yep, she's sitting back there.
Do you want to keep going? You want to do it tonight, Michelle, or you want to wait? What's that?
She stayed for the whole thing. So she's-
Okay, go ahead. I'm good with it if you are. Come on, we have Michelle here with the Page County Conservation, the director.
You want to give one to Todd?
What? One of these for you.
Yeah, I made one too. Here, one.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready
I
for
won.
me?
Hang on, let.
Oh, it
let the
might
room-
take a minute to get everybody.
Let the room clear out a little bit.
What's that?
No, JDs, do we need to do anything with
Oh.
that?
With the engineer, I think I missed that.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was,
he's not here, so I'll mention that in a minute.
We've got his update.
Okay, I think it's quieting down a little bit. Everybody be quiet as you can. We're gonna go into the conservation director.
Okay, so I was told 3 weeks ago to come up with a list of projects that need to be done within Page County Conservation. I have done so. I'll get those to you guys.
Here's the paper I made, see if it lines up to yours. Okay, just, I tried to do the same thing, just to try to do a chart, see if it lines up.
thank you.
This list is just compiled of several things that need to be updated within the parks. Some of these buildings are original to when the park was opened. They're 60 years old. They need updated. This just shows you that I need the money for the project at Nottaway for the roads, but I'm still going to ask for the $143,000 because I will spend it the right way. As you can see, my main one is the shower house at Pioneer. You can see pictures that I put in there for you. There's something wrong inside the building that I can't get to where we're leaking water and there's a significant amount of mold coming in on the walls. You can see that the floors are not pitched correctly because there is water buildup around the drain, but it's not going into the drain. That's my main one that I've gotten one quote. I tried to get several. It's very hard to get them to contact me back. These buildings are not cheap. We cannot do them just by ourselves in our budget. Just the building alone, this does not have any plumbing that would need to be done, electrical, or if there was sewer work to the existing sewer there. 62,000 is bare minimum. We just can't afford to do that with our budget and we need help to bring these buildings up to date for these people that are coming to these parks and expecting a decent facility in order to use the restroom or take a shower in. You can see that, I mean, I've got a page and a quarter. I mean, I could have more, but I didn't put every single little thing. These are the bigger things that we just can't afford by ourselves. We would really appreciate the help. I feel like we deserve it. If you go into these parks, you can tell that they need updating. The buildings are just in shambles. And not only that, the road, obviously, if you can at least approve the road for me, the 80, what was it, 83?
This is the Nottaway Park Road?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm asking for $86,510. I need to know, because otherwise I'm gonna lose that grant. And if I can't get on the list in spring, because I lose that grant at the end of May. And I really, really need to contact those guys and tell them whether I can do this or not. And I need to forfeit the grant if that's what I have to do.
You lose it when? I didn't hear you.
What's that?
You lose it when?
The end of May next year.
We're gonna know long before that. We're not here right now, but what I have this sheet out, Judy's got a sheet here too, with some numbers on. The proposed project so far before these new ones was Shoulder Rock on J64, 85,000, Shoulder Rock on M32, 64,000. JD asked for a stockpile of rock for spring, 250,000 to go on the roads that we don't get rock money for very often. And then we have $86,510 for the road at Pioneer Park. So, that totals 485,000 of, if my number's right, of the 663,000 we had left. Look at that, if it's right, we can double check all this, but, so we'd have 177,000 left for new projects beyond those that we talked about the other night. So if we took you up to 143 and let you spread those out over where you thought you were on the road, over your projects most important here,
Mhm.
what's that number? What's another, how much? 143 minus 86,000. So 56,000 more dollars you would spread around to do some of your most important projects.
Yes,
So that's what you're kind of asking for right now.
yes.
Okay. That would take us down to 121,000 roughly, if my numbers are right here, left over still to obligate. We haven't done this yet, but just in our thoughts.
Mhm.
So I think we understand that. That's what you're asking for. And you've listed off several things, way more than that on here that need
Yes.
work. Your discussion on that and see what we're talking about.
The only thing I had a question about was, I was under the impression that dredging Pioneer Park, we had already
They bought
and paid for a
machine for
dredger, a
that.
machine or something,
Yeah.
and we were already doing that, or that was already planned project?
I honestly, it was before I was here, so I'm gonna have no comment on
Where is
that
the,
one.
is there a dredge machine? I was at meetings, I thought there was.
Okay.
So where is it at?
At Pioneer.
You
Has it
got
been-
that down for 50 to 75,000.
To
I
do
mean,
it
they,
the right way.
has it been tried? Has the dredge thing been tried? I don't know. I just heard they were gonna try it.
And it doesn't work, or it doesn't, it's not the right
What I
machine?
heard
or-
is they tried it, it didn't float because it's so low.
So when we have more water, it would maybe work. Because everything is very low. My pond's extremely low still, even after rain. With
It's
more-
almost up to the spillway.
And it still won't float. Who'd we buy that from? Do you know?
I have no idea.
That might be some good investigation on that, but. Yeah, they bought that with the intention of doing that. I don't
Right.
know who. Well, you're here and you've showed several projects for another 56,000 to go to the original 143.
Yeah.
That's what you'd like.
Yes.
We can note that on this chart I got here. There's 121 left. I think that something to think about pretty strongly, and you need to, I mean, we can do this again next week or whatnot, but those ones that I haven't changed my mind yet on the Shoulder Rock, on Stockpile,
Right.
and Pioneer Park Road. Have you
Could
any
we-
thoughts on that? I'm all right.
Could we approve the 86,510?
We could just do that whole
And,
list if
and
you
just
want.
do that one right now?
That's honestly, I need
And
something
get that
so
so
I can
that
get
she
that
can take
going.
care of that, and then
I would do it as long as we did the roads with it, because I want to make the roads in my top priority.
yeah, no, and I think what we have listed there now, if we want to, I don't know if we can, I guess we can approve those other expenditures.
JD will come up with a contract for those three, and then you have a contract for the road. So that would be we would accomplish those.
But I was wondering if we could go ahead and do the Nottaway County Park one.
That's what I
and-
mean,
And do that,
86,000.
yeah, and just do that tonight.
I want to do JD's also,
You want to do them all tonight?
those four. If I do the park, if we're not under a deadline next week, I want to do the roads.
Well, we could talk about it Tuesday for JD, if JD's can be here.
He's presented all these as what he wants. So, I mean, there's nothing really to change on it. I would do it together. Or each one, we can make a motion on each one. I would like it to be, that's what he wants. We can always add to that. But that's the shoulders are terrible on those two roads. I want to make sure that motion happens. So, I mean, those are four things we've already talked about and been okay with. So we probably should make four separate motions. Probably on that, for each specific thing. This is ARPA stuff. Which would be, those are the four things we're okay with. And then we can go on the 56,000, we can make that another one. Want to talk about Tuesday.
Okay.
Where are you coming up with the 56?
That's roughly what I got. 143 is what she originally asked for.
But if you do the Pioneer Shower House at 62,000.
Were you asking for, I just went off what I thought you were asking for. so I
Yeah,
got
but
it.
But
I
if
would
she's
love to
got
be
it at
greedy and
62,
ask
I
for
would
more,
go-
but if you guys are not gonna give it to me, then I'm
I would
not,
go
you know
for
what I mean?
62 if she's got 62 down.
I would absolutely appreciate that because then I could possibly actually
Yeah.
get the building
So,
finished. in
Okay,
one
let's do
year.
that as
let's do
new.
this and go through these, and then these would be separate items that we would
Yes.
talk about on Tuesday.
We can talk about, yeah,
Yeah.
that some other
Okay.
So
time.
62 on Tuesday.
I would
we
move
got
that we
Arpa.
approve the Nottaway Valley Park project of $86,510 for ARPA funds.
I would
Is that
second,
okay?
I will second that.
Okay,
Okay.
got that, Kristen?
In the discussion, I'm planning on doing those other three also, but, so. The 86,000 for Pioneer Park to fix the road.
No, not away, not away.
I mean, I keep saying, Pioneer, not away, sorry,
Yep, not
For
away.
Nottaway
Nottaway
Park.
Valley Park Road project, $86,510.
which we have a bid for. To go with the grant,
Yes.
so we can vote on that.
Did you second that, Todd?
Yes, I did.
Todd
Okay.
seconded.
Mayor,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes,
Clark.
Yes.
okay,
So then I would make a motion for the 85,000 for Shoulder Rock for J64.
okay, I got a motion on that, do we have a second? For the shoulder rock? I'll second that. Any discussion on that?
$85,000
85,000
for
for
Shoulder,
J64.
Shoulder Rock on J64.
with ARPA.
Mayor,
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes,
Clark.
Yes.
okay. Make another motion? I'll make a
Make,
motion.
make a motion that, we use the Shoulder Rock for M32 for 64,000, ARPA dollars.
I'll second that, yes. So again, a discussion, that's a shoulder rock for M32 using ARPA money. 64,000. M32.
M32, sorry.
It echoes down.
M32
M32
for
64,000.
64,000, yeah.
Mayor,
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes,
Clark.
Yes.
okay. Entertain another motion.
Okay, we'll make a motion for the Missouri Roadstone stockpile, 14,900 tons for spring resurfacing. Cost of $250,000
Using ARPA money.
using ARPA money.
Okay, I'll second that motion. I had an extra one here, that would help us a lot. You can see the numbers there.
Mayor,
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Okay, so we took care of some ARPA situations, we will talk about the next,
So just to be clear,
Possible.
that leaves us with 177,760.
I think
correct?
so, if my numbers are all
Some
right,
change.
go home and double check those, that's what we come up with what I had the other day, Judy made all, we looked at.
Okay,
So double check those numbers and see where we're at. And we'll look at it again Tuesday, is fine.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for being here for a long meeting.
yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. My agenda. I've lost my agenda. And JD's not here. We skipped the engineer update. He is not here. I don't know my agenda.
No claims.
We do not have claims. Next on there is the
Board communication.
board communication. I did. I can't find my agenda. The IPIB reached out to me, I think yesterday it was, maybe this morning. They wanted, I tried to do earlier in the day on the 26th. They wanted at 6 PM. They want the public to be here. They wanted at 6 PM. So that's what they want. The IPIB wants the training at 6 PM on Tuesday.
You gotta be kidding.
I asked them to make
the
it earlier,
26th?
the 26th. They would like it at 6 PM because they want the public to know what happened. This has been a public issue and they want it to be
But
public.
we've got Jeff Curtis with the bids.
This is the state telling me when they want to resolve this, so that's what I was told. So at 6 PM, and I don't have my list out here, or 10, maybe I do. So who has to be here, what they put in a resolution is,
Can we,
please shut the door.
can we
out
have
there.
quiet, please?
Or shut the door. You guys, it's hard to hear echoing. I mean, you read the resolution, I was trying to understand it. It says all members of the board, the auditor, and any staff that might serve as the clerk. I think it'd be a good idea. Brian's still here. Do you leave? Brian Rogers is the, and we can invite him. I mean, he should be invited as the new supervisor coming in. It says we will invite the other electeds. I think the county attorney should be here, as he's been a big part of this.
I don't know how many you're gonna get at 6 o'clock on Tuesday night, so.
But according to resolution.
Holiday weekend.
Some
or
people that
holiday week.
are supposed to be here and some people we're inviting, but I encourage people to come. I thought it'd take about an hour. So that's what we'll do, so. Yes, we will put it on the agenda, and we can do it. However, we can start with that, I guess, or whatever works best, but.
Probably do that.
So, what then?
I said I would probably do that
Just
first to get it
start
out of the
we'll get
way.
it done, then we'll run the rest of our meeting. That's the only board communication I remember. I can't find my agenda right now. It's here somewhere. If there's nothing else.
I had a Board of Health meeting, a West Central meeting, and an RPA meeting.
Did you receive, Kristen, sorry, Judy, did you receive the check from juvenile detention yet? It should be coming sometime. We had a meeting. I went up there yesterday. Yeah, it should be they refund every year when we reallocate the money. I think it was around 39,000. I should have brought
I
that
do
sheet.
not believe we have received that.
It should be coming.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, Judy, go ahead.
No, I don't know what. You had all of those meetings.
Yeah, it's busy. Had two on Tuesday and one on Monday night.
Okay, here it is. Okay. No other board communication. We will meet Tuesday at 6 here for our normal meeting next week due to Thanksgiving being on Thursday. The minutes, I saw the minutes look good to me.
Yep, they look good.
And
So
mo-
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented and meet the Iowa Public Board Information Guidelines. And to be put in the Page County Board of Supervisors minute book.
Okay, got a motion, a second on
These
that?
are November 14th.
November
What now?
14th minutes.
November 14th minutes, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
add that to it, yeah.
Thank you.
Got a motion by Todd, Judy seconded. Roll call.
Mayor,
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Yes. And as we adjourn, I'll say what a joy it is to have the minutes be no issue. That's good.
Yep, thank you.
So, all right.
And for those of you that are left here, appreciate everybody being cordial and respectful and.
Very good.
Good meeting.
All right. So
I
your
move we
motion,
adjourn.
motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.